have gotten further and further apart as our workload in our classes increase. Now we only have a few more weeks until finals, and my eyeballs feel dead in their sockets from all the reading. Wit and Lana have become glued at the hip. Yaden and Corinne aren't dating, but he's joined our little gang of friends and brings his own charm. And even Akio is here, his wisdom adding something special to our interactions together.
"Who do you think's a shoo-in for the boons from each order?"
Yaden asks. Wit looks up from his computer, where he's trying to hack into a dummy account I created for each of them to practice on.
"I definitely won't be getting one from the Templars. But Scarlet, you'll get something, I'm sure."
"Maybe," I say. "It's the class I'm strongest in. But Wit, you're awesome at Law and Order. I bet Inquisition has you tagged for something." He rolls his eyes.
"Wouldn't that make me instantly evil or something?"
Everyone laughs. "What about you, Akio?" Corinne asks. "Have you given more thought to which order you want?"
"I stay with Teutonic,"
he says.
"It's my only choice."
I frown, worried my new friend won't make the cut for that order. It's a tough one to get into if you're not a strong fighter. Have you thought about the Hospitallers? You're really good at those classes. You have the second highest score so far, next to Corinne. He beams at the compliment, but still shakes his head.
"It's not enough to do something you good at. Must do something that make you happy. That challenge you to be better than old self, Scarlet friend."
Is that why you want Teutonic? I ask, genuinely curious. To challenge yourself?
That's part of it.
His eyes drift as he thinks about something only he can see.
But it also for my family, my wife and children.
Corinne's eyes widen. "I didn't know you had a wife and kids. Don't they miss you?" His eyes are sad, and my heart clenches as I sense what's coming.
"I miss them very much,"
he says.
"Before Nephilim War, I successful engineer and bring much honor to family. But then war happened, and town became battleground between Nephilim and orders. Our houses were destroyed, farms burned, people died. My wife and children were in our house, trapped by fire and fighting. I come home from work but could not get to them. I found them all dead, too late to save them. I vowed then to become a knight, to fight to protect others, to bring honor to their memory."
The conversation drifts, and we go back to studying, until Wit curses and smacks his keyboard.
"Did the computer hurt your feelings?"
Kai teases.
"This coding doesn't make any sense to me,"
he says. To my surprise, Lana leans over and explains the hardest bit. I raise an eyebrow, and everyone else is staring too. Kai whistles.
"Impressive. I didn't realize you two found any time to study."
Lana and Wit look at each other, and she nods and turns to us. "There's something we want to tell you," she says. We all put down our books and wait. I have no idea what it could be. Are they getting married? Pregnant? Wit and I aren't actually dating. We never were. Corinne frowns. Why would you pretend to be dating for so long? Lana sighs. It's my parents. They sent me here, not to become a knight, but to marry one. Preferably one with a pedigree.
Like a prince,
Kai says. She nods. Like a prince. But Wit and I became good friends, and he agreed to fake it to keep my parents off my back so I could focus on my studying. As long as they think I'm making progress at marrying up, they won't pull me from the program. My jaw drops. They would actually take you out of here if you don't date someone of royal blood? I can't even fathom this. They would, and they've threatened to, which is why I needed Wit. You can't tell anyone, she says, a look of panic on her face.
If they ever found Whit and I were just friends with no intention of marrying, it would be over for me. And I don't want to leave. I want to be a knight. I want to make a difference with my life, not just as someone's arm candy.
She looks at me and smiles.
I want to be a Templar.
I had no idea, I say. But if there's anything I can do to help, just say it. You're working hard to be here, more than anyone realized. You'll make a great knight. And I feel a twinge of shame and sadness, because they are all working so hard to build something that I'm working to destroy. But Yaden breaks my melancholy mood by throwing an arm over Lana's shoulders and smiling.
You know, I too am a prince. If you ever need a new guy to fake it with, I'm always free.
We are all buried in books as we spend the week taking finals. We talk in murmurs in between classes, comparing answers to the tougher questions, speculating about how we each did. At lunch, gone are witty jokes and stories by Wit, or the sketched masterpieces of Corinne. My friends have been replaced by zombie students, eyes glazed over from the sheer volume of words being shoved into their brains. And I'm no different. On the plus side, they no longer give me worried glances every time I pull out a life force instead of real food. Instead, their eyes light up with need, and I pass out packs to each of them like the drug dealer I've become. We are all addicts now. The day of my APD final, I'm all nerves. I know I'm not getting a boon for this class, but still, I can't just fail. I study, I cram, I do everything I can to prepare. After, my hands are shaking, and my brain feels like a Halloween pumpkin, gutted and set on fire. Corinne joins me in the hall. How'd you do? I shrug. I don't know. Better than the first day. She grins. So you didn't put hands and feet and head on your anatomy worksheet? I laugh. No, I think I did pretty well on that part, actually, thanks to your torture study sessions. We walk, enjoying a moment of non-studying before the next test. That's great. You just need to do well enough to stay in the program, she says. You're obviously meant for Templar, so don't stress too much about the rest. For 3 days this continues, with no sleep, a lot of life force, and whispered encouragements until we finally make it to the last final. History, which is tedious, but not particularly hard. What's hard is waiting to find out how we did, and who will get the boons. This is the day. With the relief of completing our finals comes the new stress of thinking about the trial. They say without a boon it's 10 times harder to pass a trial. I need a boon. We sit in the great hall in full robes waiting for the Chancellor to announce our grades. He shuffles up to the podium with his staff clicking against the stone floor. He looks older, more tired than he did last time I saw him. I should visit more, find more time to talk with him. He knows stories of my mother I don't, and I'd like to hear them. We've shared tea and cookies a few times this quarter, in quiet moments after dinner, and he told me what she was like as a child and a teen. It's like getting to know her all over again. I never realized how much alike we are. Were. I'm shaking, and Kai reaches for my hand, holding it. My feelings for him grow stronger every day, but I know Nightfall will always stand between me and anyone I might come to love.
You have all worked hard this quarter in the most physically and mentally challenging program in the world,
my grandfather says.
Your scores broadcasted here today are a reflection of that work. But this is only half of the puzzle. Next comes the trial. Some of you will have help. Others won't. And still others will not make it through to next quarter.
My hand sweats against Kai's, and I pull out of his grip to rub it against my robe.
Without further delay, Here are your scores.
The E-screen behind the podium shifts from an image of the Castle V logo to an initiate and their marks for each class. We clap politely as each student is displayed, and we wait for our names. Whit's face appears on the screen, his impish grin larger than life. He got 10s in law, order, and history, but average to poor in his other classes. Yaden smacks him on the shoulders.
Might want to reconsider your stance on the Inquisition.
Whit scowls at him. Corinne's next, and no one is surprised at her 10s in APD and EMT. Her combat score was the lowest, but she's still happy with her average. Yaden gets 7s in everything. How is that even possible? I ask.
Yaden puffs up his chest and smiles. I have mastered the art of being mediocre.
I chuckle. Indeed. Kai's scores come up next. 10s in combat and survival. Decent scores in everything else. I'm happy my friends have done so well. Lana did better than I expected, getting a 9 in espionage and excellent scores across the board. Whit hugs and congratulates her. She smiles big, and I feel a twinge of sympathy. She's working so hard, and her parents don't even care. Akio's face appears, and we all wait nervously. His combat score is a 6. It's not bad, and it turns out to be his lowest grade. He receives a 10 in survival. Life experience helps a lot, it seems. And then my face appears, and I freeze, sucking in my breath. I got 10s in tactics and espionage, 9s in combat and survival. My APD score is my worst. A 3. I get a 4 in law, a 6 in order, and 7s in EMT and history. My overall score isn't great, but considering my double life and how hard I've been training, I'm pretty happy by the results. Once all the scores have been displayed, our quarter is basically over, other than the trial. Whit hurrays at the top of his lungs, and we all cheer as we leave the hall.
We must celebrate,
he says.
Eat, drink, and be merry.
We pick up the chant.
For tomorrow we will surely die.
Chapter 19. The Trial. I'm dreaming about mazes and mirrors when something lands on my face. I wake, unable to breathe, struggling against a large dark form pinning me down. There's a cloth over my mouth and nose that smells chemical, and it's clouding my mind. Something sharp pricks my arm, and warmth spreads through my body. I hear murmurs of voices. Someone says my name. And darkness. I groan, my eyes still closed against the light of early morning. The ground beneath me is hard and lumpy. My head pounds, and my body wakes slowly with pins and needles shooting through flesh. A bird tweets in a tree nearby, and in the distance a waterfall crashes against a cliff. Everything smells green, piney. With reluctance, I open my eyes and lift my tired, sore body off the ground. The light blinds me for a moment. Then color trickles in until I can see clearly. I'm outside. The sun is just coming up, and I'm surrounded by an expanse of tropical forest. And I'm alone. I look down, taking stock of myself and my supplies. I'm still in underwear and my Nox Aeterna shirt, and next to me is my pack. I search it, finding jeans, shoes, socks, a bra, and jacket. I also find a black box with a silver V on it, and a flare gun with one flare. From everywhere and nowhere a voice fills the sky, startling me. It sounds like Grandmaster Gabriella, the leader of the Teutonic Order. "Rise and shine, initiates," her voice says through hidden speakers. "You are officially participating in your first trial. You have 3 days to find the Teutonic base on this island and enter it. If you cross the threshold within the 72-hour time frame, you pass.
If you give up by shooting your flare, or fail to reach the base within the allotted time, your initiate training will come to an end. If you want a boon from an order, you will have it with you now." The speaker crackles before her voice resumes. "Good luck, initiates, and Godspeed." I dress quickly, then open the small black box. Inside is a note that says, "Good luck, Templar Order." I pull open the tissue to find my e-glass. I slip it on. "Hello, Scarlet." "Evie! It's so good to hear your voice. Here's the deal. I'm at my trial, and they've dropped me on some island. I need to know where I am. Can you get a satellite view?" While she does her thing, I stick the box back into my pack and sling the bag over my shoulders. First things first, I need to find a water source. My stomach growls. A marshmallow tree would be fantastic. I start walking toward the sound of the waterfall when Evie chimes in. "I'm sorry, Scarlet. Something is blocking the satellite feed, and I can't override it." If only they'd also included my tablet. "Do you have any idea where we are?" I ask. Evie scans the area around us. "I would place you somewhere in the middle of the North Pacific Ocean," she says. "So maybe Hawaii?" I ask. "Or somewhere near it?" "Surrounding flora suggests that is a plausible option." The vegetation starts out normal enough. Coconut trees and banana trees and other tropical life. But as I move deeper into the forest, things get strange. I pass by a row of purple bushes with green berries on them. The berries are spotted yellow and come in a variety of star shapes. I don't touch them, but I scan them and ask Evie, "Can you identify these?" "No," she says. "These should not exist." "And yet they do," I say, backing away from them. If anything screams poison, it's those berries. How am I supposed to know what's safe to eat and what's not if they've filled this island with genetically modified plant life that's not identifiable? "Do you need to eat berries?" she asks. "Well, no. Not specifically. But I could be out here at least 3 days, and I have no life force. I can't go that long without something." The water finally comes into sight, and I see Amber, one of my classmates and Lana's roommate, near the water's edge filling up something. "Hey!" I wave my arms. "Amber!" She looks up from the water, then turns and runs off in the opposite direction. Weird. Granted, we don't really know each other, but why wouldn't she want to work together in a place like this? I shake my head. She may live with Lana, but is an enigma to us all. No one has gotten to know her, and she's refused every invite my friends have given her to our get-togethers. I reach the water, but realize I have nothing to purify or carry it with. I look around, hoping to find something useful. The bushes rustle behind me, and I turn to face Garen. He smirks. "Looks like the wannabe princess is finally alone." He cracks his knuckles and punches a fist into his hand like we're in a bad movie. "Do you really want to do this right now, Garen? In the middle of a trial?" I stand and walk toward him. "I don't need a sword to defend myself," I say. With a surge of power, I push my body forward so fast the wind rips through the air, and I stop just in front of him, my hand on his throat. "So I'll ask again. Do you really want to do this right now?" His eyes go big, and from behind us someone claps. "Well done, lovely maiden. I always enjoy seeing the bullies taste their own bitter medicine." Whit walks up to us with a big grin on his face, and I let Garen go. "Hi!" I hug Whit, and he squeezes me tight. "Have you seen Kai, Corinne, or the others?" He shakes his head. "You?" "I saw Amber earlier, but she ran off. Other than that, just this thug." I point at Garen, who glares at me. "Hey, you got Evie," Whit says. "That's brilliant." I tap at my e-glass. "Yeah, but she's not much help so far. What about you?" He hands me a small book, and I flip through it.
Inspirational quotes from the Pope? I ask. He nods and takes it back.
The Inquisition felt this little gem of wisdom would help me find my way. Allow me to share the beauty.
He opens to a random page and reads,
To those who strive for greatness, I tell you, strive for goodness, and greatness will follow.
I laugh. That's lovely.
It's utter rubbish, he says. Worst boon ever.
We should keep moving while we have daylight, I say. Maybe we can find the others. The base would need to be near fresh water, so I suggest we follow the river and see if we can get a feel for where we are and how big the island is. Whit nods.
Sounds like a plan.
We both look over at Garen. I wave. See you around. Garen jogs over to us.
No way. I'm coming with you. Better odds.
I frown, about to argue, but Whit shrugs.
He's a biter, but he's right. We're safer in groups.
I sigh. I haven't forgotten about Garen beating me up, but I also want to win this trial. Fine, you can come, but if you so much as blink at us wrong, it's over. He nods, and the three of us start walking. While we do, Garen picks up 3 sturdy sticks and uses a sharp rock to carve points into the tops of each. What are you doing? I ask.
Making spears for us,
Garen says.
Have you noticed how quiet the forest has gotten?
I hadn't, but now that I listen, I realize he's right. It's spooky quiet.
That's not normal,
he says.
There's something out there. Something bad. This is the Teutonic trial, and that means combat.
He hands me a makeshift spear, and I grip it in my hands. Thanks. I hate to admit it, but I'm impressed. He hands one to Whit.
Not all pats are useless biters.
Whit and I ignore his insult. The walking becomes monotonous, and Whit distracts us by reading out of his book of quotes. For hours. And hours. Okay, I say, spinning on him. That's enough from the Pope. How about a story? Or a song? Or even silence? Just please, for the love of all that's holy and just in the world, no more from the Pope. Whit laughs and shoves the small book into his pocket.
Not a fan, huh?
I shrug. There's something about him. I don't know. He rubs me the wrong way when I see him in interviews. When we pass by a coconut tree, we agree to stop and pick some for the food and hydration. Whit uses a large rock to knock several off the trees, then break them open. We need to save some for later, I say, as we drink out the liquid and eat the meat from the shells. I can't stand the taste, but I know my body needs something, and it does help clear my head. We hike for several more hours, mostly in silence, though Whit and I do talk about where to go, how to find the base, and Garen chimes in from time to time with his thoughts. When the sun begins to set, Garen looks up and frowns.
We should stop somewhere for the night. Build a camp.
We should keep walking, I say. We can't waste a third of our time. We don't even know where the base is yet. He doesn't argue, but I can tell he wants to. Whit looks back at him and leans in to whisper.
He's probably right. We don't want to be stuck out here when it's fully dark. We won't be able to see a bloody thing, and we don't know what's out here. Better to sleep a few hours and start again in the morning.
I hate stopping, hate slowing down when we haven't accomplished anything. But I sigh and agree. Let's look for shelter. It doesn't take us long to find a cave carved into the side of a mountain. Be careful, I say. It may be occupied. Whit raises an eyebrow and takes a step back.
How about we just sleep under a tree or something? Too exposed,
Garen says.
We need something we can defend.
He steps into the cave, and I follow. Something scurries through the darkness and shadows. Garen throws his spears and an animal screeches, then is silenced. I shiver. We don't even know what that was, and he's already killed it without thought. There's still enough light to see a bit in the cave, and Garen holds up his hunt. It's a small lizard with feathers.
Looks like we have dinner.
I want to argue, but then I smell the blood, and I nearly leap on it and suck it dry right then and there. Make mine rare. We stay up far too late that night trying to warm ourselves in front of the fire as Wit tells us ghost stories. Just as I sink into a deep sleep, the sun comes up, and a foot nudges me in the shoulder. Garen stands above me, packed up and ready to hike.
Get up, Sleeping Beauty. We can't afford to sleep the day away.
I want to slap him. I'm the one who pushed to keep going last night. But I get up, eat, drink from a coconut, and head out with Wit and Garen for more exciting walking. I'm surprised at this, I say a few hours into the day.
At what?
Wit asks. This! I look around at more of the same. Trees, bushes, plants. I get the survival element of it, but it seems random. How are we supposed to figure out where the base is in 3 days? Unless the island is small enough to completely discover all its parts in that time. There's got to be something we're missing. Garen scoffs.
So used to being given everything on a silver platter, aren't you? Can't stand to actually work for something.
I glare at Garen. You don't know anything about me, my life, or my friends. You don't know what we've had to go through, or what pain we've endured. My whole family died. And I didn't grow up with silver spoons. I grew up in rural Montana as a plebe. So just shove that chip you're carrying on your shoulder up your... Wit grabs my arm, and I stop, listening. He covers his lips with a finger and points to the left. I turn to look, but see nothing through the dense foliage. Whatever I thought I heard, I can't hear any more, and I let out a breath. Wit looks around, still too spooked to speak for a moment.
You did hear that, right?
I nod. Yes, it sounded big, but far away. I think we're okay for now. Wit nods and we start walking. It's another long series of taking one step, then another. I've lost track of how many times I've wanted to unleash my wings and fly over everything to see where we are, but I can't. Too many people would see me. So I have to keep walking. So slow, so tedious, so ineffective, because for all we know, we're walking in the wrong direction. Wit pulls out his little book of quotes and starts reading again. Garen groans, and I laugh. Remind me to punch Ragathon when we see him again, I say. How could he think this would be helpful? Wit shrugs, flipping through the book.
Look, it even has a dedication. To the 19 knights who saved 150 witnesses. But it's weird. They misspelled knights.
His words drift through my mind, as they have for the last hour. But this time they stick. I whip my head around. Read that again. He does, looking up at me oddly.
What?
I stop walking and take the book from him. This isn't a dedication. It's directions. 19 knights. Knights is spelled wrong because it represents north. 19 degrees north and 150 witnesses is 150 degrees west. Those coordinates are in the proximity of Hawaii, which is where Evie speculated we were. This must be where the base is. Wit smiles widely.
You are truly a gorgeous genius.
He kisses my cheek. I laugh and click my e-glass. Evie, map these coordinates and tell us where to go. I give her the numbers and she says the most beautiful thing I've ever heard. Scarlet, walk north 14 miles. Guys, we are officially on our way to the base. They both cheer as we alter our direction. Wit walks next to me, staring at the book in his hand.
I'd never have figured that out, he says. So why did I get the book?
I shrug. You would have figured it out eventually. He looks down again.
Maybe.
The walking doesn't get any more exciting. but knowing for sure we're heading in the correct direction helps a lot. We make good progress over the next few hours, despite sore feet, all of us, and a deepening thirst for blood. I'm hoping just me. We're stopping for a quick lunch of more coconuts. Yay! When we hear it again. The huge thing. This time, though, it seems a lot closer. Around us, the ground shakes, the coconut milk splashing up from the shell, and then a sound sends shivers up my spine. A kind of growl that's more dinosaur than anything.
"We have to hide," Whit says. "That thing is getting closer."
He's right. It's running now, and it's coming straight for us. We drop our coconuts, grab our packs, and scurry away from the beast, tripping over rocks and bushes until we find a large dead tree to crawl into and hide. Our breathing is heavy as we crouch in the darkness. Bugs scurry from their hiding places, crawling over my feet and hands in their quest to escape. I peek through a hole in the tree bark and see bits of something giant with scales that glow green. Whit looks through the hole as well and pulls back, his face white. He holds up the spear Garen made.
"I don't think these sticks are going to do the trick."
A tree branch snaps in the distance, and through the hole in the tree I watch the beast turn, distracted, and run away from us. "I think we're safe," I say.
"The danger's not over yet,"
says someone outside our hiding place. "Kai!" He crawls into the tree trunk with us, and I scoot over to him. He hugs me and kisses my cheek.
"I've been looking everywhere for you. Is Corinne here too?" "No,"
Whit says.
"We can't find her."
He frowns, and I ask, "Do you know what that thing out there is?" He drops his hand to the hilt of his sword. His boon was useful, at least, and shakes his head.
"No, but whatever it is, it's been hunting me for the last 2 days."
Chapter 20. The Beast. "What do you mean, hunting you?" I ask, gripping his arm.
"I don't know," he says, "but I haven't been able to lose its trail for long. It seems to be tracking me."
Garen glares at Kai's sword.
"Of course you got a weapon. You all got boons, naturally. Connections."
I don't even bother responding. We wait in the tree quietly for what feels like forever, just to make sure the beast is truly gone. When we think it's safe, we crawl outside, and I take a deep breath and stretch, my body cramped from crouching for so long. Kai brushes a strand of hair off my face.
"You should go on without me. If this thing is following me, I don't want you and Whit at risk." "I agree," says Garen. "That's an excellent plan."
"Nope," I shake my head. "We're not leaving you." Whit agrees.
"We stick together."
He looks at Garen.
"You're free to go if you're scared, but my brother stays."
Garen grunts.
"Fine."
"Besides," I say with more excitement, "we have coordinates for the base camp. They were part of Whit's boon." Kai raises an eyebrow.
"That's excellent. Let's get going. But we need to stay where the trees are thick. And if we see the beast again, run while I distract it."
I'm about to argue, but he stops me.
"I have a sword. It makes the most sense."
I reluctantly agree, and I explain the route Evie has laid out for us. As we start to hike again, my head feels dizzy, and I know I need blood or life force soon, or I'll be too weak to keep going. I might have to sneak off and eat an animal without anyone seeing, and hope there are no cameras watching me. We're hiking up a large hill, my thighs burning the higher we go, when we hear someone scream. Kai looks west and points.
"It came from a field over there."
"We should see if they need help," I say. Garen shakes his head.
"Let the loser save himself. We have enough problems."
The man screams again, and Whit sighs.
"We should go help. It's the right thing to do."
He doesn't sound happy about that, but we head west and find Bartholomew fiercely battling bunnies? I look closer. Are those bunnies, or...
Hybrid bunnies with cat DNA, says Wit. At least that's what they look like.
It's true. They have bunny ears, but the long tail of a cat. They're adorable, and small and seem relatively harmless. Though Barty Boy appears to disagree.
Hey Bart, need some help with the kitty bunnies?
Kai calls. Even Garen snickers at that, despite this being one of his friends.
These beasts are not cute. They are evil!
Bart shouts. We walk over and the creatures run off into the bushes, more scared of us than we are of them. But Bart is still running around screaming like his pants are on fire. Kai smacks him in the face.
Shut up. We can't make noise right now.
Bart stares at Kai, shocked.
Did you just hit me?
He shoves Kai in the chest, and I step next to Kai. Back off, Bart, I say.
Bartholomew. My name is Bartholomew, and when my father hears about how I've been treated here... Shut up, dude, says Garen. No one wants to hear about your father.
Bart glares at his friend.
Why are you even hanging out with these losers?
I laugh. You know what? You two go on. We can handle the rest of this ourselves. It's time to break up into groups.
No way, says Garen. You got maps and e-glasses and swords.
Bart looks at Kai's sword and sneers.
Of course they got the best boons. Doesn't matter. With my skill and expertise, I don't need one. I'm over this, Kai says. Which way next, Scarlet?
I point north, and we start walking with Wit by our side. The rest can figure out what they want to do. I hear Bart arguing with Garen, but unfortunately for us, they do keep following. I wish we could mute them. Kai reaches for my hand and I let him take it, enjoying the feel.
I was worried about you,
he says. I was hoping we'd find you, I admit. We walk in silence for a while, listening for sounds in the forest. We're getting closer to the base as the sun sets on our second day, and I feel confident we'll have no trouble reaching base by lunch tomorrow. Plenty of time before deadline. We still haven't seen Corinne yet, and Kai is worried.
She's okay,
Wit says as we search for a place to rest for the night.
She got high grades. She probably got a map and a truck or something.
I laugh. No doubt. That'd be nice. It's getting much darker, hard to see even a few feet in front of us, and we still haven't found a place to sleep. We need to stop, I say. We're going to be tripping over ourselves soon.
Agreed,
says Kai. I let some power flow through me to increase my night vision until I see more around us. I point to our left. There's a grove of trees over there. We can camp in the middle with some shelter at least. Kai squints and frowns.
I can't see it.
Trust me, I say, pulling him forward. The rest follow me, Garen and Bart finally quieter after hours of arguing. We don't have much to make camp with, so we do the best we can with brush and leaves and settle in. Kai, Wit, and I sleep close to each other for warmth. Kai holds me in his arms, which isn't unpleasant, and I lean my head on his shoulder and listen to his heartbeat. Bart starts rubbing wood together for a fire, and Kai stops him.
No fires. There's something dangerous out there, and we don't want to draw its attention.
But I'm cold, whines Bart.
Sock it up, Buttercup,
says Wit. Garen snorts and leans back against a tree.
I'm out. Tomorrow this will be over, and we can all go back to hating each other.
Who said we stopped? Says Bart, rolling over and facing away from us. I doze on Kai's shoulder, falling into a half-sleep haunted by shadow dreams, when something wakes me. My eyes open, and I see Bart sitting in front of a small fire warming his hands. He grins.
Care to join me?
I sit up, and my movement wakes Kai and Wit.
You have to put that out, idiot! Forget it. You don't make the rules for me, he says stubbornly.
Then leave. Go find another group, I tell him. Kai puts his hand on my arm, and then I hear it. The ground rumbles. A great roar fills the night sky. The beast has found us. We scramble up and use whatever we can find to diffuse the flames, but it's too late. The beast is hunting us, moving closer as it smells our fire. Or our fear. I don't know which. Our breathing is so loud I feel like we can be heard for miles. And it's getting louder.
"Should we run or stay put?"
whispers Whit. I can hear the fear in his voice. "For now, stay under the cover of the trees," I whisper back, hoping I'm not killing us all. We push into the spaces within the large trees and wait and listen. Bart starts to hyperventilate. He begins groaning and drops to his knees.
"I can't do this,"
he says.
"My father would never allow this if he knew."
I kneel to face him. "Bartholomew, look at me. Look at my face." He looks up, and I hold eye contact with him. "It's going to be okay, but you have to calm down. We'll get out of this. Just breathe." I think I'm getting through to him. He takes a breath, then another. Then the creature roars again, and Bart can't keep focus. He screams and jumps up.
"No! No!"
Then he runs out of the grove and into the night, screaming. We all follow him, calling his name. Once out of the cover of trees, the moon brightens our path, giving us just enough light to see the beast. A great shadow like a mountain, with teeth the size of my hands and sharp as swords. It's scaly with big, glowing green eyes. The beast turns its head, its eyes following Bart as he crashes through the brush. I have no time to react, to run or help or stop him. In one move, the beast opens its giant jaws and drops them onto Bart, eating him in one horrifying crunch. I'm paralyzed as I stare in horror at the bloody remains of the man who stood there a second ago. Garen's shaking from rage, or maybe fear. Kai tenses next to me as the beast turns his focus on us again.
"I'm going to distract him while you three escape,"
he whispers. I grip his arm. "Not alone." He kisses my head.
"I have to. It's me he's after, and I'm the only one with a weapon."
His purple eyes are filled with concern, but not for himself.
"Get my brother to safety. Please."
I swallow the lump in my throat and nod. He'll be distracted if he thinks Whit's in danger. I can protect him better by doing as he asks. For now. I nod. "I'll keep him safe. Don't die." He grins in that cocky way I've come to love.
"You can't get rid of me that easily, Knight."
And then he runs out. The beast swerves its head to follow the scent of Kai, and I tell Whit and Garen to run in the opposite direction. Legs pumping, heart pounding, I try not to look back, not to think about what's happening with Kai as we run for a rock formation that should offer us a way out. We arrive at the rocks, and I push Whit to climb up first. "Go! Don't argue!"
"I'm not leaving you out here alone,"
Whit says. Garen pushes past him.
"Then I'll go."
He climbs up the rocks and disappears through a crevice. "Whit, I promised your brother I'd protect you. Go!" He obeys, reluctantly, climbing through the crevice as I stand guard with my spear. I hear Kai yell at the beast to keep its attention. The beast charges and traps Kai between a mountain and itself. Whit calls for me from behind the rocks.
"Scarlet, hurry up!"
"Kai needs help. Go, I'll catch up." Whit yells for me.
"No!"
But I'm already running toward Kai. I can't let him die. Can't let him get hurt. I did what he wanted. Whit is safe. Now I must save him. I'm running faster than I ever have, my powers surging through me. I want to unleash my wings, but if I do, it's all over. I can't take the risk. Not yet. There's still time. Kai is fighting the beast. He's not injured. I can make it without revealing who I am. When I'm within reach, I take my spear, aim, and using extra force and power, I throw. The spear impales the beast's backside, and it cries out in pain and turns toward me. Kai, run! The beast isn't slowed by a piece of wood sticking out of it. It probably feels like a splinter. I've basically just made it mad. And now it's chasing me. I run away from Kai, away from Wit. But Kai isn't getting to safety. He's following me and the beast. And now the beast is confused. It wants to attack us both. It changes directions, chasing Kai again. Kai, the cliff! I try to catch up, to stop him before it happens. But I'm not fast enough. Not without my wings. Time slows as the beast and Kai run to the edge of the cliff. Kai realizes his mistake at the last minute and turns to face the beast, sword held high to fight. But the beast is huge and doesn't have the brakes required to stop in time. It crashes into Kai, and they both disappear over the ledge. No! I have no choice. It's not even a thought, just instinct. My wings of light stretch out from my shoulders and I fly, swooping down over the cliff. I see the beast and Kai both falling. I push myself faster, passing the beast and reaching for Kai. Grab my hand! He reaches for me. Our hands link. I try to hold on to him, but his hand slips away. He's too close to the ground. I push harder, flying faster. My heart is beating so hard it hurts in my chest. I reach for him again. Our hands clasp, and I pull. Hard. My arms wrap around his waist, and I hold him tight against me as I slow our descent. We crash into the ground, but without the fatal splat I feared. The beast falls next to us, shaking the earth. Instead of dying as I'd hoped, it rolls onto its legs and charges us. It's so close I can smell its rancid breath. I grab Kai's sword from his sheath, spread my wings, and fly straight at the beast. It swipes at me, gouging my arm with its claws. I push the sword through its eye. It twitches, lunging once more at me, but it can't complete the move. As death steals its life, it falls to its side. I crumble to the ground, my wings still flicking silver-white light behind me. My arm burns, and I feel dizzy, sick. The sun is just starting to glimmer in the sky, but the moon hasn't yet retired for the day. It's mostly dark as they share the sky. I look around, trying to breathe, trying to focus my thoughts. We're in some kind of grove where glow-in-the-dark mushrooms and bugs create a magical ambiance. Night flowers glow in pink and yellow and orange lights. I pull Kai's sword out of the beast's eye and try to stand. But I stumble and fall to my knees as he walks over, a bit wobbly himself. I'm scared of what happens now. My wings are still out. He's seen everything. I wait, gripping my arm as my body works to heal it. He kneels before me and smiles, caressing my cheek.
You look good with my sword.
I blink. I'm ready to mind control him, but I don't want to. Did he hit his head in the fall? Isn't he freaking out? I'm so confused. Thanks? He grins.
You look good with the wings, too.
I suck in my breath. My body is shaking. Do you understand what I am? I cock my head, trying to read him.
You're Nephilim,
he says, as if telling me I'm blonde or that I have blue eyes.
And you're Nightfall.
My heart skips a beat. You seem awfully calm. He takes his sword out of my hand, sets it to the side, and holds both of my hands in his.
It doesn't change how I feel about you, Scarlet. And I'm not going to tell anyone. Don't worry about that.
You accept this? He nods.
I've actually suspected for a while, but I didn't really care either way. I still don't, though I'm glad I know for sure. And I'm glad you know I know.
But your father, your uncle... He frowns.
Scarlet, I've grown up in the orders, in politics. I know the kind of corruption that runs rampant in this world. And it shouldn't. My family shouldn't rule just because we're born to it. Zeniths shouldn't be mistreated just because they are born different. It's not right. My country is one of the lucky ones. My father is a just ruler, even if he and I don't see eye to eye on everything. And Corinne will be even better. She's the best of us all, and will be a great queen. But what if that hadn't been the case? My country shouldn't be stuck with someone awful just because of a bloodline. Many things need to change.
I'm still trying to absorb what he's saying because it feels impossible that this is really happening. So you support Nightfall's cause? My cause?
Yes, I do. I support you as Scarlet and as Nightfall. The world needs Nightfall, and I need you.
He leans in, his body so close to mine now.
Scarlet,
he whispers as he runs a hand through my hair.
I love you. All of you.
When he kisses me, I melt into his arms, responding with equal passion and desire. But I can't stop the tears. To be loved like this, to be accepted for everything I am, is the greatest gift to receive. And I don't know how to accept it. But I try. I try because this beautiful, frustrating, amazing man in front of me has seen all the parts of me and still loves me. He pulls back and wipes away a tear.
Have I made you sad?
I shake my head. No. Happy. Very happy. I smile through the tears. I think I'm ready to officially date you now, Prince Kai.
He laughs. If I'd known all it would take is a near-death experience, I would have put myself in harm's way long ago.
I slap his arm. No! No harm. Stay out of its way and we'll be fine. He cradles me in a bear hug, and I rest my head on his chest as he strokes my hair.
Fair enough, Scarlet. I'll stay safe if you promise to do the same.
When he squeezes me harder, my arms burn and I flinch, my vision growing cloudy again. He looks down at me.
Are you okay? These wounds look bad.
I heal fast, I tell him. I'm just hungry. He holds my arms.
You're shaking. I can hunt up some berries.
I look at him a moment, my wings flickering behind me, and he smacks his forehead with the palm of his hand.
Right. So, life force. Is it?
A blood substitute, I tell him.
And marshmallows and chocolate?
He grins. Most human food tastes like sawdust now and makes me sick. Those are still gloriously delicious. He nods.
I don't have any life force. Or marshmallows.
I know. It's okay. I'll be fine. He tilts his neck, exposing his pulsing vein.
Feed on me, Scarlet.
I recoil. What? No!
You've done it before, yes?
Yes.
Did you kill the person?
No. I can't possibly tell him the first person I fed on was his beloved uncle.
Then do it. How else are you going to be my knight in shining armor and fly us out of this ravine?
I look around and realize he's right. There's no way in or out without my wings. The Orders never expected any of us to end up down here. Which means my secret might still be safe if they didn't place surveillance in this area. But it also means I'll have to fly us out, and I'm too weak to walk, let alone fly. He looks at me, his smile sincere.
I can take it.
I nod. Only to get us out of here.
Fair enough.
He tilts his head again, and I lower my mouth to his neck as my appetite grows. I'm starving and need this, and I want it. I bite into his neck, and he doesn't even flinch. I take only what I need, stopping long before I'm full. But it's enough. I pull back and lick the last traces of blood off my lips as my wounds heal themselves and my body grows stronger. I stand, my wings fully extended and powerful. He looks at me, wide-eyed.
Wow, the networks don't do you justice. Though, I thought you'd be taller.
I slap his shoulder and laugh. The camera's at a few inches. I hold out my hands, and he embraces me. Our faces are inches apart as I push off the ground and into the sky. His smile broadens.
There are perks to dating you,
he says as I fly us out of the valley. Just before we land, he closes the small distance between us with a kiss that leaves me lingering in the air. When I land and retract my wings, I look at him. You can't tell anyone about me. Ever. Not even your siblings. He pulls me into his arms again.
Scarlet, your secret is safe with me. And so is your heart.
I laugh. Do you tell all the girls that? He kisses my forehead and grins.
Only the ones who can fly.
We walk the rest of the way to base with light hearts, hands held and with time to spare. It's a great feeling. The base is a large gray building of metal that doesn't look inviting until we enter. It's set up to receive tired and hungry students, with sleeping mats, a buffet table with food, and washrooms with showers, all of which are in use. My grandfather is there, which surprises me. He smiles when he sees me and shuffles over with his cane.
I had no doubt you would fare well,
he says, kissing my cheek. It was a close one, I tell him, as Kai grabs 2 plates and fills them with food for us.
What happened?
He asks, concern in his blue eyes. There was a creature, a giant dinosaur-like beast, that hunted Kai the entire 3 days. We escaped and killed it, but barely. I shudder thinking about it.
That's highly unusual,
he says.
I'll look into it.
Kai brings me a plate of food, marshmallows and chocolate and 3 packages of Life Force. Thank you, I say, as I down all the Life Force and stuff my face with the rest. He laughs.
I found Corinne and Wit.
I follow him over to a table where Corinne is eating and chatting with Wit, Yaden, and Lana. I'm happy to see all of my friends safe and back in time. Wit looks up at us and grins.
Thanks a lot for leaving me alone with Garen. He's a real charmer.
Kai and I take seats, and I ask, how did everyone else do? I found Yaden and Lana and we teamed up, says Corinne. Yaden nods.
Our girl here had all the boons, a first aid kit, a dagger, and an encrypted map that Lana deciphered. We've been back since yesterday.
Lana looks over at a table where one guy I never knew well sits alone. Not everyone did so well. He used his flare. I frown, feeling bad for him. But I can't believe Bartholomew died, Lana says. And you were there. I nod. It was awful. Garen passes us with a plate of food, and Corinne calls out to him. I'm sorry about Bartholomew. I know he was your friend. Garen bares his teeth at her.
He wasn't my friend. And just to be clear, neither are any of you. It was only about survival.
He stomps away, and I'm not sure who I feel worse for. The guy who died, or Garen, who will spend his life forever angry and alone. Kai puts his arm around my shoulders, and I lean into him. We share a look and communicate so much. He knows. He knows, and he loves me. All of me. That alone is worth all of this. Chapter 21. The River House. Trial celebrations last the whole weekend. Even the death of one of our classmates isn't enough to stifle the cheer. Probably because he was a biter to everyone and no one liked him. I'm not glad Bart's dead. I don't think anyone is. But it doesn't weigh on my soul. And so we spend a few days attending parties and having fun. The only damper happens when Bart's family comes to collect his belongings. There's no body, since the beast ate it, and his father shouts at the Chancellor so loud it travels through the castle as he demands some kind of recompense for the death of his precious son. They leave empty-handed, and life returns to normal. We all attend a congratulatory ceremony in the main hall. There are now 18 of us left from the original 20.
Each quarter you will lose more,
my grandfather tells us.
Until the end, when only the true knights shall remain.
We leave, relieved that we have a fortnight off before the craziness starts again. While a few of our classmates have left for their respective homes for the holidays, most have stayed in New York to attend the tournament festival after Christmas. The way Whit tells it, the entire week between Christmas and New Year's is an epic celebration of chivalry, revelry, and wonder not to be missed, culminating in the final tournament battle and a New Year's ball. Kai and I are going together, of course, and this time we are coordinating. I'm having a dress made in his house colors, with black and gold and accents of black feathers. It's going to be stunning. A few days before Christmas, Corinne ropes us into helping decorate the initiate hall. Whit is grumbling as he strings lights over the fireplace.
Isn't there a staff for this?
You're such a Scrooge, she says, smiling. This is fun. He glares at her.
For you, maybe.
But in the end, the hall is a winter wonderland, and we all agree it was worth the work, as we sit around drinking hot cocoa and talking about our plans for the holidays.
We should do something fun,
Whit says, his arm draped over Lana's shoulders. They're still close, even if they're not dating.
Like what?
Yaden asks. Whit shrugs.
How about a cabin? Just the 6 of us. We could bring a tree, exchange gifts, go sledding, sing carols and drink spiked eggnog. It will be brilliant.
Corinne grins. That actually does sound fun. Let's do it. Kai, Scarlett, you in? I look to Kai, who smiles.
I'm in if Scarlett's in.
I nod. Sounds fun. Where do we want to go? Whit clicks on his e-glass and his tablet.
I'm on it.
After a few moments of mumbling and typing, he looks up.
I've booked us the perfect place.
He smiles and clears his throat to indicate he's getting his speaking voice on.
In the heart of the Catskill Mountains, outside the village of Athens, through the deep old-growth forest of Shakespeare-on-the-Hudson, on the majestic Hudson River, lies the Hudson River House, an 11-bedroom, 6-bathroom mansion that will be home to our first Christmas together.
He shuts down his tablet, satisfied.
When do we leave?
Yaden asks.
Tomorrow morning,
Whit says. We're all packed and ready the next morning. Zoran isn't happy I'm leaving for the weekend, but while I wait for more details on Crix's plans, there's not much for Nightfall to do, and I'm only going to be gone a few days. I need a break. Whit has secured a limousine to drive us there. I guess being a prince has its advantages. We climb in as the driver loads our bags into the trunk. For 3 hours we talk, laugh, drink, and eat. Some of us also kiss. There's much happiness. The mansion is everything Whit promised and more, with a hot tub, pool, rooms enough for everyone to have 2 if they want, and a huge fireplace and gourmet kitchen. Who's cooking this weekend? Lana asks.
Whit rolls his eyes. My dear Lana, Do you not know me at all?
Corinne laughs. In her defense, she's never seen you cook.
Fair enough,
he says as he runs his hands over the marble kitchen counters.
But let me assure you, your culinary delights are handled.
Kai looks at me and winks, and I blush. It's so strange, being around someone who knows the truth. Until now, Zoran was the only one who knew both sides of me, and it's different with him. I'm still mostly Nightfall with Zoran. But with Kai, I'm Scarlet. I'm me, but I'm also her. Since the trial, we have grown so much closer. We've spent nearly every moment we can together. I have no secrets from him now, and he never had any from me. We talk about everything. I told him about my parents' death, about what happened after. I shared my deepest fears about being Nightfall, about the cost, the risks. I tried to warn him away from me, but he held on tight and shook his head.
You can't scare me away. I know what I'm getting into, and I accept the risks. You are worth the risks.
There's also been a fair share of kissing, I'll admit. But we will still be in our own bedrooms this weekend. We all choose our own rooms and unpack, and Whit starts whipping up something for dinner while Kai pops open a bottle of champagne. He pours a glass for each of us, and we all toast.
To us,
he says.
For surviving. To our friendship. To our futures.
He holds my gaze as he says this, and clinks glasses with me. I smile and sip, happy to note that it tastes good. Fizzy and fun. After dinner, which I'm sure was exquisite but tasted like cardboard to me, we venture out to buy a Christmas tree. We can't do our gift exchange tomorrow without one, Corinne argues. It's Christmas Eve, and there aren't a lot of options left, but we find the perfect one to fill our temporary living room. The guys insist on dragging it in and setting it up by themselves, and we all decorate it with baubles we bought at the store next to the tree lot. When it's all set up, Kai hands me a box. I raise an eyebrow and open it. It's a silver star for the top of the tree. He whispers in my ear.
I know that's your nickname. I wanted to get an angel, but I figured I should be a little more subtle.
I kiss his cheek. Thank you. It's beautiful. He gives me a boost so I can reach the top to place the star, and then we plug in the lights. They twinkle white and gold. Soft instrumental music plays in the background as we sip more champagne and tell stories of each of our Christmas traditions and memories. It's enlightening hearing how my friends grew up, with their different cultures, countries, and traditions. But there's a spirit that binds us together, that makes all of this feel somehow familiar. Familial, even. We belong together, the six of us. We fit. It's late as Kai and I sit on the floor in front of the fireplace. Everyone else is in the game room playing pool, but we choose a few quiet moments alone instead. I run a finger along Kai's jaw. You seem melancholy. You okay? Fire reflects in his purple eyes as he stares into the flames.
My mother died on Christmas Eve,
he says.
Did I tell you that?
My breath hitches. No, you didn't. He looks at me, his face a mask.
Have you ever had to kill someone? As Nightfall?
I blink. Not directly, but in a way.
It does something to you,
he says, looking back at the flames.
Taking a life with your own hands. It changes you.
You've had to kill before? He nods.
I told you. I killed my mother.
Oh, Kai, that wasn't your fault. She got sick. Varian never should have made you feel responsible for that.
She didn't die from the illness,
he says. My heart skips in my chest. What do you mean?
She nursed me back to health and got sick. That part is true. But she didn't die. She recovered. At least, It seemed like she did. We thought everything was back to normal. Until...
He pauses, pain evident on his face. Until? I ask, softly.
Until she changed. She started having serious mood swings. Not just happy and sad, but violent. She'd hurt herself or the staff at the castle. My father once found one of the maids in her room, dead. My mother was crying over her body, saying, "I'm sorry, I'm so sorry." It turned out the maid hadn't changed the sheets fast enough, and my sweet, kind, gentle mother beat her to death in a rage.
That's horrible. I'm so sorry. He nods, still staring at the flames.
My father loved her so much. Too much. He couldn't accept that her mind was lost to us. He clung to her lucid moments and assured everyone it was temporary, that she'd heal.
I can feel something momentous coming, and I hold his hand more tightly.
She was supposed to have a nurse around the clock to keep her, and others, safe. But the nurse fell asleep on duty one night on Christmas Eve, and my mother snuck out to see us. When she came to the nursery, she was normal, happy, our mother again. I ran to her and hugged her. I missed her so much. Corinne and Whit were still babies, almost toddlers. They were in their crib, and my mother wanted to see them too.
Kai reaches for his champagne and takes a sip.
She took them both out and held them, singing that song Corinne sang. And then she changed. Her face disappeared, and in its place was a mad woman full of rage. She dropped both the babies to the ground. They cried, screamed, more from fear than pain. They landed on blankets and weren't badly hurt. She paced the room screaming obscenities at us all. She told the babies to stop crying, but they didn't, and she slapped them both, yelling at them to be quiet. I begged her to stop, to leave them alone. But she wouldn't.
I'm holding my breath as he talks, knowing the worst is still to come.
When she picked up a heavy wooden toy and held it over them, I knew she would hurt them. Kill them. I couldn't let her do that. I had to protect them both. I used all the strength I had in my 9-year-old body and ran into her. She had her back to a window, and she crashed through it, falling to the ground 2 stories down.
A tear slides down his cheek, and he takes another drink.
I cried and ran through the castle to where she fell. Pools of blood surrounded her, but she was still alive. Barely. She grasped my hand and begged me to forgive her. I did. Then, as she died, she made me swear to always protect Whit and Corinne, no matter what.
We sit in silence for a long time. As the fire dies, Kai moves to add more wood.
That's why I don't fight in the tournaments.
What?
You asked once why I don't fight in tournaments. This is the real answer. I don't ever want to kill again, unless I have to. I fight to protect, not for sport.
I understand, I say. He sits down and looks at me.
Please don't tell Corinne and Whit. They don't know. They think she died from sickness. That's what everyone believes. It would crush them if they knew the truth.
Your secret is safe with me. The next morning we all wake excited to find Christmas presents under the tree. Yaden, who woke up first to bake, passes around a plate of ginger cookies shaped like hearts, stars, and goats. The house smells like a ginger cookie factory.
These are pepparkakor,
he says, holding up a cookie.
They're a Christmas tradition in my country.
I eat one, and am sad to discover this doesn't make my short list of yummy foods. Kai sneaks my other cookies from my plate to his.
I've got your back,
he says with a wink. Such a prince, I tease, making a sacrifice like that. Corinne scoots near the tree and starts passing out everyone's gifts. We drew names for our gift exchange, a first for me. I look at the tag on the beautifully wrapped silver box in front of me. It's from Corinne, and I smile.
Who goes first?
Whit asks, holding up the gift I got him. You go, I say. He rips open the package and groans.
Seriously?
He holds up a book of quotes by the Pope, and everyone laughs. I pull another package from behind the tree. I couldn't resist, I say, but here's your real gift. He smiles and opens it, then gasps.
This?
He runs his hand lightly over the cover of the leather-bound book.
This is...
Kai nudges me.
3 cheers for Scarlet, the first person in the history of humankind to render our brother speechless.
Whit grins and holds up the book.
A limited edition book of poetry by Robert Frost. I don't even know how you found this. I've never been able to find one.
I have my ways, I say. Actually, Carter has his ways. He helped me find the book, but of course I can't say that. I just smile, happy he likes it. You go next, Scarlet, Corinne says. I nod and carefully open my present. My breath hitches as I pull a painting out of the package. It's of me and Kai together. We're sitting in the castle courtyard with our swords to our side, my head on his shoulder. I remember when this happened, I say. But how did you see us, let alone capture all the details so perfectly? She grins. I have my ways, too. I lean over to hug her. This is amazing. Corinne opens her gift from Lana next. It's an old record player with real records. She holds one up, staring at it wide-eyed. These don't exist anymore. Lana smiles. It's been in my family for generations, but no one ever plays it. I know you love music, and I thought you'd get better use out of it than we have. Oh my goodness, she says. This is incredible. She taps her e-glass to turn off the music currently playing and plugs in the record player, choosing the first record on the pile. I've never heard anything like this. It's got a grainy quality that should sound bad, but somehow gives the music an added dimension missing from digital music. The record plays as Lana opens her gift from Kai. I already know what it is, and I'm excited to see her expression when she figures it out. At first glance, it's an expensive Eden fashionable bracelet, a beautiful flower. She puts it on, admiring it. It's lovely, Kai. Thank you. He leans over and shows her something.
Push that carefully.
She does, and a deadly blade releases from under her wrist.
Oh my! I had it made for you, he says. Beautiful on the outside, but deadly and never to be underestimated.
There are tears in her eyes when she looks up. Thank you, she says. There's so much power in being seen, in truly knowing that someone sees you and knows you. Kai didn't give her a bracelet for Christmas. He gave her something so much more. He saw her. I squeeze his hand. This man who is so amazing. This man I am starting to fall in love with. Kai looks at his gift from Yaden and shakes it. Yaden laughs.
Just open it, he says.
He does, revealing a raven carved from a polished black wood with something gold sparkling inside.
That's wood from an onyx tree, Yaden explains. It's a rare tree found only in my country and protected by the royal family. Very few people even know it exists. It's nearly extinct, but I had a small piece gifted to me as a child. I've been waiting for the right thing to make. The wood wanted to be carved into a raven.
Kai clutches it in his hands.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
Yaden opens his gift last and slaps his leg at what Wit gave him. Wit grins.
It's a starter tree for another rare tree, Wit says. It grows multiple fruits year-round. This hybrid isn't for sale, but I have some connections. I've heard of these and wanted one very much, says Yaden, caressing his pot. Thank you.
As everyone settles in to read, talk, eat more cookies, or just relax, Kai pulls me outside. We walk around the snow-covered hills toward the Hudson River.
I had to get a gift for you, he says, pulling out a small box.
Me first. I hand him a box, and he smiles and opens it. Inside is a knitted black scarf with a gold raven on it. I know it's not much, but I made it myself. It's the first time I've tried to knit. And the last. He laughs and wraps it around his throat.
I will cherish it always.
He hands me the small box.
Your turn.
I pull the red bow off and open it. Inside is a black pearl wrapped in white gold and diamond swirls, like a tiny universe. I pull it out, and Kai helps me put it on. This is beautiful.
It reminded me of you,
he says.
Nightfall trying to hold the world together. Nox Aeterna.
Tears sting my eyes, and I reach up to kiss him when my e-glass beeps. Scarlet, says Evie. Not now, I mumble through his warm lips. It's urgent. Zoran needs you. The Red Eagles want to meet. Tell him I'm busy, I say, still trying to salvage the mood.
You'll have to tell him yourself. He's waiting for you behind the house you're staying at.
I look up at Kai, who can only hear my side of the conversation.
Something wrong?
He asks. I have to go, I say sadly.
Superhero business?
He asks. I laugh. Something like that. I'm sorry. He kisses my head.
Don't be. I'm a big boy, and I know what being Nightfall means. Go. Do your superhero stuff. I'll cover for you.
I pull at his hand before he walks away, so awash in feelings I have to speak out loud. Kai! He turns, our fingers intertwined.
Yes?
I love you. His smile lights up his face, and he crushes me in a hug against his body.
I love you too.
He kisses me, then pulls away.
Now go save the world.
I meet Crixus at the center of Diamond Mountain. There are no crowds this time. Only Zoran waits in the distance as a cold wind howls through the night.
What do you know of the approaching tournament festival?
Asks Crixus, looking at the moon. His question startles me. I try to recall what I've heard from Wit. The knights are anonymous. Many will attend the final match. I gasp, realizing his plan. The Pope will attend. Crixus nods.
Have you seen the Black Knight fight?
I smile. He's the one I'm rooting for.
Good. He is one of ours.
I see where this is going. I'm impressed. Crixus continues.
When he wins, he will be granted a boon from the Pope. He will request a personal meeting with His Holiness.
And you want me to be at that meeting? He nods.
You will don the Black Knight's armor. You will get close to the Pope, and you will give him an order.
I frown, noticing a problem. My gift doesn't last very long. He won't join our side.
He doesn't need to. You will order His Holiness to commit suicide.
I grit my teeth. I don't murder people for political gain.
Then how about to right wrongs? To purge the world of a man who slaughtered into near extinction your own kind. He ordered the annihilation of all Nephilim.
I sigh. I know all this, but what would killing him accomplish? Someone else will just take his place.
We have an agent amongst the cardinals,
says Crixus.
We will make certain he is elected as the new pope.
Who is it?
Forgive me, but I cannot say. If our plan was to fail...
Then I'd be captured.
Yes, and I would rather have our agent's identity a secret. But with him as the new pope, we will have real influence. The pope controls the orders, and the orders control most of the world. With the right pope, we can end this war for good.
He holds out his hand.
So, do you agree?
I pause. This plan can give me access to the most powerful person on Earth. This plan can end this war years before I imagined. This plan can change everything. But there is something I must know. Why do you fight against the orders? Crixus drops his hand. He sits on a stone, drawing circles in the dust.
When the war began, my parents supported the Nephilim in secret. They understood there was no reason for the fighting. Only a reason for a strong leader to keep the peace.
His voice loses its normal calm, turning to rage.
They were discovered, and they were executed. I will not forget what they taught me. I will find the leader they spoke of, and I will bring peace.
He follows his parents, as I do. I hold out my hand. Perhaps together we can be that leader. Perhaps together we can bring peace.
Perhaps.
He shakes my hand. I grip his hand harder. No one but the Pope must be harmed.
Other than the White Knight, no one else will be.
He lets go of my hand and walks away. I join Zoran on the podium to explain our plan. He doesn't respond for a while. When he does, he doesn't face me.
If it's between killing the Pope or staying alive, stay alive.
I touch his face with my hand, turning his head toward mine. I will. When I return to the cabin, I can tell the mood has shifted, and it's my fault. I enter, kicking snow off my boots at the door, when Corinne grabs my hand and pulls me back outside. "What's going on?" she asks. "I just needed some time alone," I say. "I'm sorry. I didn't mean to spoil the fun." She does this cute, scrunched-up thing with her face that makes her look like an angry puppy, and I resist the urge to laugh. "Scarlet, I know there's something more." She tugs at a strand of red hair. "And I know for whatever reason you can't, or won't, tell me. But my brother is in love with you, and I don't want to see him hurt." My heart has felt so much lighter since the trial, since Kai found out about me and still accepted me. But I hate lying to my other friends. It hurts them, and it hurts me. I put a hand on her shoulder. I promise I won't hurt him. I love him too. Her eyes light up. "You do?" I nod. I already told him. "We are official. We were going to tell you this weekend." She squeals and hugs me while jumping up and down. "That's the best thing I've heard in a long time." She pulls away, still smiling. "And you're happy?" I smile big this time. "I am. Very happy." "And he's happy?" I laugh. "I sure hope so." She squeals again. "We are so totally going to be sisters-in-law someday. I can feel it." I can't help but hope she's right, as we head into the den of warmth and holiday cheer, and Kai hugs and kisses me. He tastes like peppermint. For the first time since my parents died, I feel like I could be happy. Truly happy. Chapter 22. The White Night. When we return from the cabin, I make excuses, kiss Kai goodbye, and fly to the cathedral. When I enter, I'm greeted by Carter, who is weaving fragrant garland and white blinking Christmas lights over the banister. The rest of the cathedral could pass for Santa's workshop, with lights, a huge tree, and decorations everywhere. "Wow, it looks amazing," I tell him. He smiles.
"Thank you, miss. Everyone's in the war room waiting for you."
"You should join us," I say. I hold up my bag of gifts. "One of these is for you." He tilts his head, an unreadable expression on his face.
"For me?"
"Yes, of course. It's Christmas after all."
"I don't believe anyone has ever given me a holiday gift before,"
he says. "Really? That's awful." I reach for his hand. "Come, join us." I lead him up the stairs. "By the way," I say, "I realized I never properly thanked you for my apartment."
"You thanked me when I gave you the key,"
he says. "But I didn't thank you after seeing it. I don't know how you did it, but that's the apartment of my dreams." He bows his head.
"I'm glad it pleases you, miss."
We enter the war room. There's another Christmas tree with blinking lights and a glowing angel at the top. On a table near the tree is another angel, this one spun from colored glass and surrounded by baby angels. "What's that?" Carter walks over.
"That is Lilith and her children."
"They sell these in stores?" I ask, shocked. Carter chuckles.
"No, I made it."
"Beautiful." I walk over to the table, which is laden with cookies, drinks, and 2 goblets of blood. Zoran is raising one to his lips. The other is placed in front of the seat next to him. I sit and sniff the contents. "I take it this one is for me?"
"I don't think TR or Trix would particularly enjoy it,"
he says. Trix turns from the Christmas tree and smiles. "He's right about that. But you two come over here. It's time." TR turns on Christmas music, and we all move to sit around the fireplace as we exchange gifts. "Me first," I say, passing out boxes wrapped in reindeer paper. "You have to open them at the same time." They all tear into their gifts, and Zoran holds his up first, a small frown on his face.
"Pajamas?"
I nod, smiling. "Look at the shirt. Nox Eterna. And the bottoms are made of silk." He shakes his head.
"I cannot wear this to bed."
"Why not?" I ask. He looks at me, a sly grin on his face.
"Because I don't sleep in pajamas."
It takes a moment to catch his meaning, and I blush. "You can wear them around the cathedral then," I say, "for casual days." He looks at me as if the concept of casual days is repulsive to him, and I laugh. TR pets his pajamas and smiles.
"So silky, so soft. I can't wait to put these on. Thanks, Nightfall."
Trix grins at TR and holds the shirt up to her chest. "I love it. Thank you." Carter is still acting oddly, his face a perplexing combination of sadness and happiness.
"I am speechless. I will treasure this always. Thank you."
"It's a tradition in my family," I explain. "Or was. Each year my parents would buy me new pajamas for Christmas." I clear my throat. I've tried not to think about how this is my first Christmas without them. It's too hard. "You're my family now," I tell them. "So I wanted to share this tradition with you." Zoran reaches over to put his hand on mine.
"Thank you."
I nod. swiping away a tear. Zoran hands me a gift wrapped in black, sparkly paper with a silver bow.
From all of us.
I open it and smile. Inside is a new cloak, black with silver hem, black leggings and a black tunic with a silver tree of life embroidered on the chest. The material is soft, light, exquisite. Eden Fashionables. You had this made? For me? Zoran nods.
We did.
Trix grins. It can't be comfortable wearing your full armor here all the time. We thought this might help.
There's more,
says TR. I pull out a long black gown embroidered with the silver tree. Zoran smiles.
In case you ever feel like wearing a dress.
It's stunning. Thank you all so much. I fold everything and put it back in the box as Zoran hands me a small black pouch.
This is from me,
he says. I open it and find a tiny silver cylinder.
Turn around,
says Zoran. I raise an eyebrow, but do as he says, turning away from everyone. Zoran touches my mask and gently begins to remove it. What are you doing?
Trust me,
he whispers, his breath on my neck. I nod, and he finishes removing my mask. He installs the cylinder onto my e-glass. He clicks the top. A thin mask stretches over the top of my face. I grin, turning back to my friends. How's this possible? Trix relaxes in her chair. It took some modification of the current easy technology, but it wasn't too hard. Thank you all. These are amazing. Carter excuses himself to bring us more refreshments, and Trix and TR leave to try on their pajamas. Zoran stays with me, his eyes distant.
I don't like you going to the tournament alone,
he says.
I should be there.
You and the other Dark Templars would be recognized, I say. It's going to be fine. I'll watch the tournament with everyone else, and when it's time to face the Pope, I'll be in full armor. I'll be okay. He turns to me and grips my hand.
I hope you're right, Scarlet. I can't lose you.
A few days after Christmas, the festival begins. Lottery winners all over the world arrive at the island, partaking in the exclusive events. They purchase replicas of ancient swords at the market. They view exotic animals at the zoo. A mime follows unsuspecting visitors, changing into different colors. A zenith juggles fireballs. A lady selling black market puppies engineered with wings argues with an officer. There is no end to the entertainment. Wit drags me to some of the events, but I mostly avoid the commotion. Soon the Pope will arrive, and I will have to face him. My stomach turns at the thought. And it's what I think of most. At the week's end, the tournament begins. Thousands of people file into the arena, which, while always impressive, is now doubly so with colorful flags positioned throughout and banners draped over rock and stone. How will the people at the top see anything? I ask Wit as we search for seats.
They'll watch it on the screen.
What screen? His eyes light up.
You'll see.
We pass all kinds of people, some dressed in armor, some dressed in Eden Fashionables, and some wearing nothing but underwear, their bodies painted in white and black. The siblings dress in elegant clothing fit for royalty. Corinne wears a stylish pink and white gown, while Kai and Wit wear gold and black vests. Kai's sword hangs on his hip. It's for the cameras, they tell me. Since I'll likely be on those cameras as well, I'm wearing my fanciest jeans. As one who is dating the Prince of Ravens, I have responsibilities. My friends and I find the special area reserved for royalty and guests. We're near the bottom and will see all the action up close. To our right, a part of the arena juts forward, offering the best seats of all. Will the Pope be there? I ask. Wit nods,
along with his personal guard and guests.
My grandfather, who is in a special booth for the grandmasters and order leaders, waves me toward him. I excuse myself and weave through the crowds.
"Are you enjoying the festivities?"
he asks. "It's amazing," I say, my stomach full of fluttering butterflies.
"I haven't had a chance to speak with you in some time, but I wanted to let you know I looked into the situation with the creature that attacked you and your friends."
He has my full attention. "What did you find out?" He shakes his head, his long white hair parted and wrapped in leather strips.
"Not much, I'm afraid. There's a top-secret government research facility on the island, and they confirmed that just before the trial, one of their specimens escaped. They haven't confirmed how, but it matches what you described. It could be an unfortunate coincidence."
I narrow my eyes at him. "I don't think you believe that. And besides, you weren't there. You didn't see how laser-focused it was on Kai. It was sent to hunt him. It was no coincidence." He nods with a small frown.
"I was afraid you would say that. I will keep looking into it. Now go. Enjoy the show."
"Thank you, Grandfather." I head back to my seat as a battle begins below us. This isn't the final fight, but entertainment while people are seated. A projection appears on the other side of the arena, showing the blue and red knights fighting. It's using the people and seats as its canvas. It's the largest display I've ever seen.
"Amazing, huh?"
asks Wit. I nod. An hour passes, and the Pope arrives, the crowd standing as he is seated. The entertainment ends. The black and white knights emerge, and the people explode with cheers. These two are among the greatest fighters in the world and have made it to the championship. To most, they represent the pinnacle of society, the heroes children strive to be. To me, they are pawns in a much greater game. I try not to think of their families and friends. This fight is to death or yielding, and no one has yielded in years. One of the knights will die, and it must be the white. The competitors march to the center of the arena. They both wear heavy plate and wield giant blades the size of my body. I nudge Kai, who sits beside me. "Their swords remind me of yours." He nods.
"Their sponsors provide them with the best equipment possible, and these two have accrued many sponsors."
"Who do you think will win?" I ask, remembering that Kai is good enough to compete himself.
"The White Knight,"
he says. Wit tisks beside us.
"So sad that you are wrong, brother. The Black Knight exceeds in form." "But not in discipline," says Kai. "He knows more techniques, but his foundation is weaker." "Care to place a bet?"
Kai shakes his head. Wit rolls his eyes. I sigh, hoping Kai is wrong. For if the White Knight wins, our plan fails. I message Crixus. "Remember, no one must be harmed." He responds verbally.
"Have I not earned your trust yet?"
The Pope stands, covered in a white hood and robe. He lifts his arms and addresses the crowd.
"May the games begin!"
A horn blares through the arena. The Black Knight dashes at the White, striking with no pause. His assault is relentless, driving the White to the edge of the arena. Wit grins at Kai.
"Still confident in your predictions, brother?"
Kai shrugs. Corinne's eyes are glued to the match. "They're so fast!" I nod. If I'd never seen Varian and Zoran fight, I'd think faster was impossible. The White Knight spins around the Black, reversing their positions. Now he is on the offensive. His strikes are precise, his footwork impeccable. I understand what Kai meant. The Black Knight is ferocious, but that ferocity works against him. The White Knight is calm and collected. He is like the mountain against the storm. The mountain always wins. I message Crixus. It's not looking good. He doesn't respond. The knights lock swords and push each other away. They both take a moment to circle each other, resting. The crowd roars for more. Crixus responds. He sounds winded.
Don't worry. The match has been adjusted in our favor.
How? The White Knight begins to attack, but his strikes are sloppier, easily deflected.
Looks like he's getting tired,
says Wit. I message Crixus. He's poisoned. The Black Knight kicks the White back. Crixus responds.
Like I said, don't worry. He won't last long.
He sounds happy and tired. His responses have come slowly. My breath hitches as I realize what's happening. You're the Black Knight! He laughs in response, and the Black Knight strikes again. Kai grips my arm.
The Black Knight,
he says, his eyes focused.
The way he fights.
What? I ask. He frowns.
I'll tell you later, when I'm sure.
I turn my attention to the fight. I hate that it isn't fair, but I'm glad our plan is secure. The White Knight begins to stumble. He's struck in the shoulder. He falls to his knees. The poison must be taking hold. The Black Knight, Crixus, pauses, soaking in the applause. My friends don't smile. I wonder if they sense something is wrong. Kai sneers.
The better man loses.
The Black Knight raises his sword for a final strike, and the White Knight lunges forward, splitting his own blade into two. He spins, driving the Black Knight back. The arena shakes as the crowd stomps their feet and screams. The White Knight strikes the Black twice. He is faster, stronger. He was the mountain, but now he is the avalanche. He is unstoppable. How could this be happening? Who is this man who can ruin our plan? The way he fights... It can't be. I whisper, Evie, zoom in on the White Knight. She does. And then I see it. I gasp, shaking. Kai grabs my shoulder.
Scarlet, what's wrong?
I know who the White Knight is.
Who?
Tears build in my eyes. He wears pilot wings on his collar. He left us to train. He left us to fight. I whisper. Jax is the White Knight. Corinne jumps in her chair. Wit drops his jaw. Kai's eyes fill with sorrow. Then awe.
He's incredible.
He is, I say. The White Knight lands a strike, knocking the Black to the ground. All he needs is a final blow. He raises his swords. He hesitates. The poison. Crixus slashes Jax's arm, slicing through the armor. The White Knight stumbles back. He falls to his knees. This is it. I must choose. Jax or Crixus. There is no choice. Evie, hack Crixus Eglass. Distract him with something loud. She does, and the Black Knight grabs his ears. Jax can barely stand, but stand he does. He charges forward and rams his sword into Crixus' side. The Black Knight collapses, bleeding onto the sand. He holds up his hand. On the projection, I see he holds up 2 fingers. The old symbol for surrender. The crowd gasps, then cheers. Jax removes his helmet. His brown hair falls in his eyes. He smiles, and everyone is silent. Murmurs spread. A zenith? I never thought. He was incredible. The Pope rises, quieting all.
Kneel, Sir Jaxton Lux, champion of Viani. And tell me, what do you wish for your boon?"
He kneels.
"I desire to be a knight of the third." "Granted. Now rise, and I desire a title and lands."
The crowd gasps. A second boon. He asks too much. The projection shows the Pope, his face young and cold. He grins.
"So be it. You shall no longer be Sir Jackson Lux, Knight of the Fourth, but Lord Jackson of the House of Lux, Knight of the Third, Champion of Viani. Rise, White Knight."
He rises, and the crowd erupts in cheers. Jax raises his sword.
"Upon my land, I shall build an academy, and there all Zeniths will be welcome to train and master their abilities. All Zeniths will be treated as people, because it is what all Zeniths deserve."
My heart flutters. Jax has changed. He's not the stubborn boy who refused to see another side. He's going to train Zeniths, to make a difference. As the cheers continue, I study the royalty and grandmasters around me. Most look stunned. Ragathon is seething. But Varian nods, a proud look in his eyes. And I realize he was Jax's first sponsor. Few of the royalty appear to share his view, but this fight wasn't for them. This fight was for the people. Thousands of them fill the seats, and they begin to chant, "All Zeniths! All Zeniths!" I wonder if they believe their words, or are they so easily persuaded by charisma? And then their chant changes. "Jax! Jax! Jax!" He's doing it. He's rising up the ranks, and he's changing the world. I smile and meet his eyes. For the first time, he notices me. He grins. And then he collapses, shaking. I jump from my seat. The poison isn't done. Crixus begins to stand. He talks into my e-glass.
"This isn't over. We can still win. Red Eagles, these people have lost their way. Destroy them."
Explosions tear apart the arena, blowing the people across from me into bits of flesh and bone. Soldiers of black and red jump from the roof, slowing down with thrusters. They land in the sand and begin to fire. Crixus stands over Jax. He places a blade at his throat. He speaks, his voice amplified for all to hear.
"Goodbye, Lord Jax of the House of Lux. The others of your kind will soon join you."
He raises his sword, and Kai jumps into the arena. His blade extends into a whip, yanking Crixus toward him. The Black Knight twists free and counterstrikes. Kai blocks, and they fight. I am surrounded by smoke and fire and dust and death. I am surrounded by the consequences of my actions. I sided with Crixus. I encouraged him to be the leader his parents dreamed of. And that leader does not lose. The Pope disappears into the arena. The Red Eagles jump after him. I jump after Kai. The people I care for will not suffer because of me. Kai and Crixus trade strikes. Crixus is injured, but Kai has no proper armor. They are matched. "Evie, hack Crixus e-glass again." "I can't," she says. "He's disabled it." Then I have to fight. Dust and smoke spiral around me, clouding my vision. I stop at Jax. He's trembling, but he's alive. I grab one of his swords and charge at Crixus. The Black Knight spins away, striking me with an armored fist. I fall to the sand. Kai attempts to take advantage, but Crixus blocks in time. Kai strikes again, driving him back. I need to help, but they are far more skilled fighters, and my ability won't work through the Black Knight's thick armor. I need another weapon. I find a fallen eagle. I grab their gun and aim at Crixus. I fire. The Black Knight's shoulder plate explodes, and he stumbles back. Kai charges, ready to strike. He stops. His eyes narrow at something through the dust. A red eagle, holding a blade to Corinne's throat. Her dress is torn and blood-splattered, her eyes an inky mess from tears and makeup. But she doesn't look harmed. Not yet.
"Let her go!"
yells Kai.
"Drop your sword,"
says Crixus. No. This can't be happening. No! Kai drops his sword.
"You were always so loved by everyone. Prince of Ravens,"
says Crixus. He raises his hand, and the red eagle slices Corinne's throat. A thin red line forms on her pale flesh, spreading as she crumbles to the ground, her head flopping back at an unnatural angle. Pain claws its way out of my throat as a primal scream.
"Now,"
says Crixus,
"it's my turn."
He lifts his sword and runs it through Kai's heart. Brother and sister lay in the sand. Their hands reach for each other as blood pools around them, as the life leaves their eyes, as death claims them. I fall to my knees, weeping. Emotions overwhelm me. Rage for Crixus, sorrow for Kai and Corinne, disgust at myself and what I have wrought. Crixus gestures to his soldier, and they disappear into the smoke and dust. Nothing can be seen around us through the billows of brown clouds. There is still something I can do. An impossible choice stands before me. One I must make in between heartbeats. Save Kai, or save Corinne. I can't save them both. Whichever choice I make will weigh on my heart forever. I look over to Kai, who has fallen, is dying, and I hear his voice in my head, in my heart.
"I came here to protect them, to protect Corinne especially. She's the best of us all. I would give my life for her."
And I know the choice I have to make, the choice that will break me. I turn away from Kai and run to Corinne. I save the person he would want me to save. And I let Kai die. Chapter 23. Aftermath. I am not injured. My body isn't, at any rate. My heart, well, I will have to think about my heart later. I can't process what I've done. I can't hold that level of loss in my mind right now. I would break, and too many people are hurt. I can't break right now. I try to block out what just happened. The choice. The blood. The taste of Corinne's life on my lips as I chose her. Saved her. Left Kai. I went back for him, but it was too late. Even my powers couldn't bring him to life. But at least I found Jax alive, if unconscious. He was taken away, taken to heal. I tried to help in whatever ways I could, finding those hurt or injured, getting help to those who needed it. Now that things are settling, now that the Pope is safe and the area secured, I have to find my friends. I need to know they are okay. The infirmary has spilled out into the courtyard as the injured take up more beds than the room can hold. But Corinne, Whit, and Jax are inside. They are the only people I care about right now. As I walk through the beds, stepping around busy hospitalers trying to treat all the wounded, I click on my e-glass. "Evie, get me Zoran."
"Are you okay?"
he asks. "Physically, yes. The rest will have to wait. First, you need to organize the Dark Templars to find Crixus.
Already done, Zorin says. But he's disappeared. Gone into hiding. We can't track him.
I want to punch something. Okay, keep trying and keep me posted. I have to go. I click off my e-glass and walk into the infirmary. I see Corinne sitting up on a stretcher drinking some life force. She's going to be drinking a lot of that now. This isn't the time to tell her. I don't know when that time will be, but it's not now. I walk over and hug her. Are you okay? I ask. Miraculously, yes, she says. I know this sounds crazy, but I just have this feeling that I was hurt a lot worse. But I seem to be okay. She places a small hand over her throat, which is covered in a gauzy white bandage. It looked a lot worse. I lie. The cut didn't go deep. It should heal fast. Her eyes fill with tears. Scarlet, how could this happen? I don't understand. How could Kai? She can't finish the sentence. And I don't blame her. I'm not ready to cry. I can't. So I hug her again and sit next to her on the bed. I know. She sniffs. Whit's okay. He's hurt, but not horribly. He's flirting with all the nurses, of course. She kind of laughs, though I can see it hurts her heart. I kind of smile. We will all be kind of okay, and kind of not. Because how are you ever okay after something like this? I think he can't accept what happened to Kai yet. He's not ready. I nod. I'm not ready either. Have you heard anything about Jax? I ask. She shakes her head. They aren't telling us much. And they aren't letting me or Whit go, even though these beds would be better used for someone truly injured. She glares at the staff bustling around. Just because of our royal blood. We don't deserve special treatment. I kiss her forehead. Just rest. Everyone who needs a bed has one. I have no idea if that's true or not, but it seems to make her feel better. I need to find Jax, I say, squeezing her hand. Will you be all right? She shrugs. I guess we all have to be all right now. Don't we? I nod. I guess so. I'll check on you soon. It takes me a good 20 minutes of panic-induced searching to find Jax. Corinne was right that no one's being forthcoming with any information. When I do track him down, he's in his own room and is still unconscious. From the poison or injury, I can't tell. Evie, I say to my e-glass, can you hack into the medical records and find me anything on Jax's condition?
I've tried, but they aren't using the database. It seems in the chaos they are using paper charts.
Great. I lay my hand on his, my heart torn apart. I can't lose you, too, I tell him. Tears flow then. I can't stop them. I rest my head gently on his chest to hear his heartbeat. It's strong and rhythmic, and my tears spill onto his bandaged chest. Be well, okay? I run a finger over his forehead, pushing aside a strand of hair. I need you. I stand and walk toward the door when I hear his scratchy voice call out my name. Scarlet. I turn, tears still falling down my cheeks. Jax? I run back over to his bed and hold his hand. He pushes himself up and wipes a tear from my cheek.
I'm okay.
He pulls me into a hug, and I try not to squeeze too hard. I missed you. He speaks into my hair, holding my head in his hands.
I missed you too, Star.
I spend the next 2 days hovering over the people I love, but also wishing I could disappear and be alone. I'm watching Corinne constantly, looking for signs of her transformation, trying to think of how to tell her what I did, and what it cost us all. We're sitting in the dining hall. I'm sipping a Life Force and watching Corinne, who pushes food around on her plate. Whit leans in.
You sick?
She shrugs. Just not hungry.
You have to try, he says. We all have to try.
He's not just talking about eating. A piece of us is missing. We all feel it. Yaden and Lana bring their trays over and join us, but don't say much. The mood everywhere at Castle V is somber. My e-glass buzzes in my ear, and Evie's voice alerts me to a new message. I click to play. It's Trix asking what they should do next. I type a message on my e-band. Can't talk now. Don't know next step. Need more time alone. They won't like that answer, but I'm not sure what else to say. I don't know where to go from here. Crixus has disappeared. No one knows where to find him. And I just need time. Halfway through lunch, Corinne excuses herself to go back to our room. Whit catches my eye with a worried frown. He stands and holds out his arm.
Walk with me, fair maiden?
I give a small smile at his attempt at normalcy. Sure. I take his arm and we walk through the courtyard. It's still cold, and our feet leave prints in the new snow.
I'm worried about Corinne, he says. She's not herself.
None of us are, I remind him. He sighs.
That's true.
We walk in silence for a few moments.
Kai always underestimated his role in our lives,
Whit says.
He was my hero. I wanted to be just like him. I don't think he...
Whit's voice catches on his grief, and I squeeze his arm. He knew, I say. He knew you loved him. He loved you too more than anything. He would have done anything for you. He did do anything for you. Whit looks at me with a small smile.
He felt the same about you.
I promise Whit I'll keep an eye on Corinne, and I head to our shared room. She's lying in bed staring at the ceiling, a blank sketchbook in her hand, when I arrive. Corinne? She sits up. Hey. I pick up her sketchbook, draw a line with an X through it, and hand it to her. Do you know what this is? Her eyes widen. The Nephilim symbol. I nod. There's something I have to tell you. Chapter 24. Princess of Ravens. After I finish explaining, Corinne is silent, but a war rages on her face. How could it not? Her best friend is Nephilim, and now she is as well. I don't know what the future holds for us, but I hope for the best. I hold out my hand. Let me show you something. She turns away. Does anyone else know? Only the one who turned me. A moment passes. I remember Zoran's words. It's much harder to fight a friend. I pray I don't have to fight Corinne. Another moment. I consider what to do if she decides to turn me in. Do I make her forget this conversation? Do I expose her as Nephilim first? I tremble, unable to think any further. Another moment. Corinne turns back, fire in her purple eyes. She takes my hand. Show me. Show me everything. We drive to the cathedral, and she watches me change into Nightfall before we approach the gates. I hand her my old black mask and an easy dye pack. You can't go in looking like the Princess of Ravens. She nods, dons the mask, and dyes her hair black like mine. Then she pulls a cloak over her head. Good enough? Your eyes, I say, They give you away. I hand her an easy eye. When she looks up, her eyes are golden. I nod in approval and begin the tour. First, I show her the houses and where the recruits train on a field with Zoran. I show her where the ground opens up and the Night Raven emerges. The whole time, she doesn't speak. As we walk down the path, Alan bows at my side and holds out his hand.
A blessing, Darkness.
I touch his palm, and he returns to practicing swordsmanship. Corinne frowns. It's to inspire them, I say. She doesn't respond. When we arrive at the cathedral, she enters first. I start to follow when Zoran grabs my shoulder. He whispers in my ear,
"If she is not with us, she will not leave this place."
I know. I follow Corinne inside. She stands before the golden cross. Her hands are clasped in prayer. You have heard my story, I say, and I ask her the question Whit asked me so long ago. The question I have never stopped pondering. Am I the hero, chosen to save my people, or the monster, destined to destroy them? I don't look at her. For if I look at her, and she rejects me, I will collapse. A part of me will break. Tears build in my eyes. I do not look. Corinne touches my hand. You're my friend, Scarlet. You're my friend. And she holds me. And we both let the tears flow. Are you ready to meet the other Dark Templar leaders? I ask, after our tears have dried and we have sat in silence for some time, lost in our own thoughts, our own sorrows. She nods. I am. I lead her to our war room, where Trix, TR, and Zoran sit around the war table, while Carter serves snacks and life force to everyone. I want you all to meet someone. I gesture for Corinne to come in, and I introduce everyone at the table. And this is a friend, I tell everyone. A new Nephilim. TR looks up from his powdered donut, and a bit of cherry filling drops from his lips.
New Nephilim? As in just recently found? Or made?
Made, I say. To save her life.
So this is a thing we're doing now? He asks. Making Nephilim?
TR looks over at Zoran.
Did you put her up to this?
I bring my palm down on the table and the sound shuts everyone up. He didn't put me up to anything, and this does not mean we have a new policy of making Nephilim. It was an isolated situation that required an immediate action. I made the choice alone, and I alone take full responsibility for her. Does she have a name? Trix asks. I look over at Corinne. We haven't discussed code names yet. Raven, she says, surprising me. You can call me Raven. Nice to meet you, Raven, Trix says, smiling. TR isn't smiling, though.
So another person with a secret identity you can't even share with the group?
Zoran stands and stares down at TR.
Nightfall has to keep her identity a secret from everyone, if she is to accomplish the mission we all share. She is not a known rebel like you and Trix. She is not someone who has long since been forgotten by history like Carter and me. She and Raven have identities outside these walls that help us all with our mission, and thus need to be protected from everyone, even you.
TR sneers at Zoran.
But you know, don't you? What makes you so special?
He saved my life, I say. He turned me. That is what makes him so special. And I'm done arguing about this, TR. You can stay and accept that some of us have to maintain a secret identity from even our most trusted allies. Or you can leave. It's your choice. I want him to stay. I hope he hears it in my voice. but I will not continue to defend my need to wear a mask. He sinks back into his chair, exhaling all his rage.
You know I'm in, Nightfall. I don't like the masks, but I'll shut up about it if I have to.
Thank you, TR. I sit at the table, Zoran to my right, Corinne to my left. Do we have any news on Crixus since the tournament? I ask, getting down to business. Corinne flinches next to me. Her throat has healed with only the faintest scar, but the other wounds inflicted that day by the Red Eagles, those won't heal so fast, if they ever do at all. Still no word, Trix says. He's like smoke, vanishing without a trace. Have you tracked his money? Corinne asks. Rumor has it he's funded by a few underground criminal organizations. Dig enough and you might find something that could help flush him out. TR nods, a growing look of respect on his face.
That's not a bad idea. I'll get my people on it.
Corinne nods. He has to be held accountable for his crimes, and the Dark Templars should publicly disavow any knowledge of what the Red Eagles did that day. You have to set yourself up as something more than just a rebel group. I smile at her. I've seen Corinne the healer, Corinne the friend, sister, daughter, niece. I've seen her as the student. But I've never seen her as the heir to the throne. As the queen I'm seeing now. Trix looks at Corinne more closely. So are you in now? Part of the Dark Templars? Corinne looks at everyone in the room, then looks at me. I'm here for Nightfall, and I'm here to help catch Crixus. What my role is after that will be determined later. We discuss a few more options for tracking down Crixus. Then Carter offers to give Corinne a longer tour and introduce her to others. She looks to me, and I nod. I'll catch up with you later, I say. Okay. She hugs me, then whispers in my ear. I meant what I said. I'm here for you. Whatever happens, I'm on your side. No matter what. Zoran and I walk alone through the long halls to his room. We don't talk, but there is much to be said. I settle into a comfortable chair in front of his fire, and Nox meows and leaps onto my lap. I smile and pet him, enjoying the purring warmth under my hand. Corinne's going to want to see you, I tell the cat. She's missed you. Zoran sits next to me and runs his hand over the cat. Our fingers touch. Our eyes lock.
Nox missed you,
he says softly. Just Nox? Our parallel conversation lacks the light teasing it had once upon a time in New York.
Not just Nox,
he says. We both continue petting the cat and staring into the fire.
You created a new Nephilim,
he says. Yes.
Does that mean you agree with me?
He looks at me again, his blue eyes so full of something. I don't know, but I agree there are times it is the right and just thing. I say.
Scarlet, what happened at the arena?
He's not asking about the politics. Or Crixus. He knows all that. He's asking a far more personal question. One I find hard to answer. She would have died. They killed her and Kai. I had to choose. It hurts to speak the words, to acknowledge out loud to another person what I did.
Why her?
He asks, his voice so quiet I can barely hear him.
Why not Kai? You loved him, did you not?
Is there pain in his voice? Yes, I did. I love her, too. He would have wanted her to live. If I'd saved him, he would never have forgiven me. Or himself. He once said she was the best of them. She will make a great queen someday. Zoran nods.
She will. She has what every truly great ruler should have. Compassion, empathy, intelligence, and courage.
I thought you didn't like the ravens. I thought you'd be glad Kai is dead. He grabs my hand and looks into my eyes.
I never wanted this, Scarlet. I never wanted you hurt. I know the pain of losing someone you love, of feeling responsible for their death. I would never want that for you.
Your wife, Danica? He nods.
What do you want now?
He asks. I want to find Crixus and kill him. I pick up Nox, holding him against my chest, as I go in search of Trix. I find her in the north wing, in her bedroom, reading. Her door is open and I knock, then step in. Am I interrupting you? She sits up on her bed and puts her book on the bedside table. Not at all. Come on in. She pats the end of her bed, and I sit down next to her. Nox squirms out of my hands in order to walk back and forth between the two of us, head nudging us for body rubs. Trix laughs. He loves attention, this one. Everyone here dotes on him. I think half the Nephilites worship him. I roll my eyes. Like he needs to be worshipped. He already has a god complex just by being a cat. No kidding. They haven't forgotten their former Egyptian glory. I look around her room. It's the first time I've really been in here. It's spacious, with bookshelves, a bed, a dresser, a desk, a reading chair, and a fireplace. There are a few personal touches to brighten up the dark wood furniture. A painting of an Italian landscape, some stacks of books, her tablet. But it's the picture on the dresser that catches my attention. 3 happy people with arms around each other lean against a tractor. Trix is in the middle, and TR is to her right. The other man is looking at Trix with a smile. Is that him? I ask, pointing to the picture. She picks up the framed photograph. That's my Max. She runs her fingers over the image. Before everything. Before the wars. Before he died. Before life changed for everyone. He looks a lot like TR, I say. She nods, still staring at the picture. Do you love TR? I ask. She looks up, holding the picture to her chest. Of course. I always have. Are you in love with him? Her breath hitches. It's complicated. Because of Max? She nods. I understand. I recently lost someone I loved. And I didn't let myself love him for a long time, because of someone else. Someone I could never be with, but who still ruled my heart. I guess I just wish that I'd lived more in the present, with the person who loved me and was there, instead of living in the past with the ghost of someone I once loved but could never have. A tear falls down her cheek and she looks back at the picture. I put a hand on her knee. Word of advice from someone who probably shouldn't give advice on love? I ask. Trix chuckles, nodding. Don't let memories from the past destroy what you have right in front of you. Chapter 25. Prince of Ravens. It's raining the day of Kai's funeral, and I send up a prayer of thanks. Had the sun shone on a day so void of happiness, I would have cursed the sky for its cruelty. But even Mother Nature knows today is a day for grief. I was initially surprised his funeral pyre wasn't set in his own country, with his people. But it makes sense. All his family is here, as are the most powerful order leaders in the world. There will be a public memorial for him in Sapientia. Today is more private. Or as private as something for the Prince of Ravens can be. I still can't believe he's gone. I dreamed about him last night. His smile, his kiss, the way he always held my hand just to show me he cared, that he was close. For that brilliant moment between breaths, when I was awake but not, I could forget he was dead. But then reality crashed down on me the moment consciousness firmly took hold. It's hard to let go of the man who knew me inside and out, knew all my secrets, and still loved me. It's impossible to say goodbye. Everyone is dressed in black and gold, the Raven House colors, as we walk in solemn silence to the arena. His pyre will burn all night until his mortal shell has been reduced to ash. I walk behind the royal family, alone in my grief. Jax is there, but he is with the knights. Corinne and Whit with their father and uncle. We are in the center of the arena, close to the pyre that's already set up with his body. Others fill the stadium seating, like this is a show. But those of us here, on the ground level, we know. We feel the grief, the loss. The world is poorer without Kai's soul in it. I am poorer without him in my life. Rain pelts down in its rage as musicians play a mournful dirge. Varian speaks about his son in tones of monotone sadness. I don't hear his words. I'm just staring at Kai. At his body. His profile, hard to see through the wooden cloth. But there. His strong jaw, the lock of hair that always falls into his eyes, even in death. He could be sleeping. I want to reach for him, to beg him to come back. I've gone over that night in my mind countless times. Could I have saved them both? Could I have done something different? But I never see another way out. Except one. I realized it after. The horrible truth that will forever haunt me. I killed Kai when I saved Jax. If I had let Crixus win, his rebel group wouldn't have needed to revolt, and Kai and Corinne wouldn't have been caught in the crossfire. A life for lives. Choices that bleed crimson consequences. It's silent now as Varian sets fire to the pyre. The heat whooshes around me like a living thing, burning not my skin, but my soul. The smell is spicy and smoky, incense covering the smell of burnt flesh. The rain beats down harder, but the fire is fueled with a fast-burning chemical. No matter how hard the rain, or my heart, rails against this, Kai's body will be dust by morning. And I will not leave until the flames have died out. I will hold vigil through it all. The crowd in the stadium leaves after the initial ceremony, once the fire has burned its first blast. But others stay longer. Kai's family, Jax, Kira, Thane, my grandfather and the Order Council members. Me. I don't know how long I've been standing here, my legs cramping and my body shivering with cold, when Ragathon walks over, his face a mask of grief and pain. The moment he steps close enough, I hold my hand, palm facing him as water streams down my face. Please, not today. I know you hate me. I get it. But not today. Not right now. Not here. I'm pleading, begging, my voice cracked with pain and tears. I have no fight in me right now. Only sadness. Only loss. He shakes his head. I didn't come here to fight you, Miss Knight. For this night, let us call a truce. We both lost someone we loved deeply. I came here to offer my condolences.
such as they are. He loved you, and I could see you loved him. You brought him more joy in these last few months than I think he's ever had in his life. I wanted to thank you for that."
Before I can say a word in reply, he walks away, his back straight, spine stiff. Something in me cracks, and tears pour out of my eyes. I thought I'd used them all up. How many tears can one person produce in such a short time? His momentary kindness has stung me more than his hatred ever could. The long night of standing vigil feels timeless. Once night cloaks us in its blanket, the fire seems to burn brighter, stronger, filling the sky and all around me with its fierce, hot light. But as the first rays of morning sun cast its fingers over the arena, the fire dies down to almost nothing. Only Varian, Ragathon, Corinne, Wit, Jax, and I remain. My eyes blur with yet more tears as the final embers fade in the pile of ash. And then a sob escapes, clenching my chest and gripping my body with the finality of this moment. He's gone, and he's never coming back. My prince is gone forever. Small crowds return to the pyre, hoping to catch a last glimpse before his remains are packaged and returned to his country. Thane and the council members also join the royal family. Even Ragathon's wife returns, daughter tugging at her hand, to stand by her husband. I still stand alone in my grief, in my bitter goodbye to a great man. I wipe my tears away when Corinne walks over to me holding Kai's sword, her own face red with the evidence of her pain. She hands me the sword, and I take it, confused. "He left it for you, in his will. He wanted you to have it." "But why did he have a will?" "He couldn't have known." She gives a small, sad smile. "We are royalty. We always have instructions for the eventuality of our deaths. We updated them before the trial, and I believe he amended his even after, to add this." She hands me a thick cream envelope with the raven seal on it, and my name scrawled on the front in Kai's script. "Thank you," I say, through tears. She nods. "He loved you. He said your family." It's too much. This is just too much. I loved him too. Then she hugs me and walks back to her brother and father, leaving me alone with these last words from Kai. I open the letter, letting the rain fall on the paper, smearing the ink with the tears of heaven as I read.
Dear Scarlet, if you're reading this, I died a lot sooner than I imagined. That's unfortunate, because I had plans. Plans that involved convincing you to run off into the great world with me. I know you wouldn't have agreed, not with your other responsibilities, but I would have tried. Failing that, I would have stayed in this messed-up political quagmire. I would have stayed, and done my best to protect you, all the parts of you. I would have tried to help you in your cause. I would also have tried to convince you to marry me, eventually. We could have been happy, you know. I loved you enough. We could have made it work, despite everything. But, alas, like Romeo and Juliet, I told you we should have gone as them, we were never meant to be. But Scarlet, what we had, it was real, and I regret nothing. I don't know what happened to me, but if there's any chance it involved your other life, then don't do what I know you'll do. Don't blame yourself. Don't take on my death with everything else, regardless of what happened. I knew the risks in loving you, and I took them. I'd do it again in a heartbeat, if I still had a heart that beat. So, now what's left? Take my sword and kick some butt with it. Make the world a better place. And know that wherever my soul is now, I'm rooting for you. Yours forever, the Prince of Ravens.
When I look up from the letter, I can barely see through the tears. I tuck it into my cloak and hold the sword close to my chest. I will make the world better, Kai, I say to his spirit, wherever it is. I swear it. I stand there longer, my legs already cramped, my body tired. But I can't leave just yet. So I walk over to Corinne and Whit, who are talking softly as Varian talks to Thane. The Cardinal hadn't stayed for everything, but he'd come back this morning, apparently. I'm about to say something to Corinne when Thane's movement catches my eye. I turn to look at him. He's limping, a hand on his right side. The same spot where Jax wounded Crixus during the fight. I freeze as the pieces fall together. Kai was going to tell me something during the tournament. He recognized the Black Knight. Thane was the Black Knight. Thane is Crixus. And he murdered Kai. Chapter 26. The Cardinal. The realization burns through my grief, my sorrow, my pain, and fills me with rage, with the need for vengeance, for justice. Because it all makes sense. Thane was a ward of Varian's, because his parents were traitors. Crixus admitted his family helped Nephilim and died for it. Crixus used illegal means to accrue wealth. Thane possessed wealth most speculated he did not come by honorably or legally. Thane has always been ambitious and is a cardinal in the Catholic Church. He would be in the running for Pope should the current one die. And Crixus wanted me to kill the Pope. Thane hated Kai. He wanted him dead. Anger replaces my grief, fueling a new fire in its place. I storm over to Thane, who is standing with Varian and Jax. Corinne and Whit watch me. Other members of the Order are present, mingling. My grandfather is here. I unsheath Kai's sword. It hums in my hand as I hold it up. Cardinal Thane, Knight of the Fifth in the Order of Inquisition, I hereby publicly and with those present as witness, accuse you of murder. There's a gasp as everyone stops talking to stare at me. Disbelief etched in every face. You were the Black Knight who killed Prince Kai. You are Crixus, the rebel leader of the Red Eagles who caused the slaughter of so many at the tournament festival. And you will pay for your crimes. Thane laughs.
I think your grief is getting the best of you, girl. You don't know what you're talking about. Maybe you should go back to your room and cry over your boyfriend alone. I take a deep breath to stop myself from thrusting the sword through his heart right here and now. I saw you stab Kai in the heart. Varian walks over to us.
What is your evidence?
He asks. He fights like the Black Knight. Kai saw it, and I have videos to prove it. He's also injured in the same place Jax injured the Black Knight during the tournament. Varian looks at Thane.
Lift your shirt.
Thane smirks.
Surely you aren't taking her seriously.
Varian places a hand on the hilt of one of his swords.
Lift your shirt, Thane.
Thane sighs and lifts his shirt, revealing a bandage seeping blood on his side.
How did you come by this injury?
Varian asks. Thane drops his shirt and shrugs.
During training, accidents happen.
Varian turns back to me.
We already had the Pope confirm the identity of the Black Knight. It wasn't Thane.
That would be easy enough to lie about, I say. Thane wore the armor after another person officially registered. Varian is silent a long moment. My palms sweat, and I rub them against my cloak and try to slow my hammering heart.
Take him into custody,
Varian says. 2 Teutonic knights come over and handcuff him. Thane is still grinning.
This is all just a big misunderstanding.
Varian faces Thane, a hard look in his eyes.
My family protected you, raised you, gave you every advantage we could. If Scarlet is right about this, you will pay for what you've done to my son.
Corinne runs up to me as they take Thane away. She pulls me to the side of the arena, her eyes huge. What the? She stands, mouth agape. I can't even believe this. I figured it out when I saw Thane limping just now. Kai knew. He was about to tell me when everything happened. Are you sure? Corinne asks. Really sure? Yes, I say. Corinne nods. Then the orders will find him guilty. He will be sentenced to death. We will testify what we know. What if they don't? I ask. They will, she says, her face determined. The system isn't perfect, but it does work. Trust them to do the right thing. My father will never let Thane free for killing Kai. You can trust that, if nothing else. The trial is set for later today, and we all attend. The council members are seated in their respective places, and though my grandfather is technically in charge, Varian has clearly been given a lot of authority in this, for obvious reasons. Since I'm the primary witness, I testify first. With Evie's help, I show videos side by side of Thane and the Black Knight fighting, noting similar techniques and mannerisms used by each. I go through a list of all the reasons Crixus and Thane are the same person, and conclude by calling on Corinne to testify about his injury. She confirms that his injury is consistent with the exact injury the Black Knight received from Jax. Grandmaster Marion speaks up. The princess is correct. I would have a hard time believing Thane received this wound in regular training. It's entirely too coincidental. There seems to be no dissent in the order about Thane's guilt, and yet through it all, Thane has maintained his arrogant gloat as if nothing can touch him. Ragathon slams his fist into his podium.
I hereby vote to convict Cardinal Thane to death for crimes against the orders and against the people.
Varian matches eyes with his brother and nods slowly.
I've studied the videos myself,
Varian says.
And I agree with Miss Knight. That is Thane fighting as the Black Knight. I second my brother's vote.
Marion nods. I agree. Both my grandfather and Grandmaster Ella vote for his death. Corinne looks over to me, a sad smile on her face. She was right. Her system worked for us, and convicted the correct person with the correct and just punishment. Varian stands.
I hereby declare that by the ruling of the Order Council, Cardinal Thane is deemed...
The door to the private council chambers opens, and a Teutonic knight walks in holding a note he hands to Varian. As Varian reads the note, revealing nothing on his stoic face, my heart sinks. Something bad has happened. I can feel it. Varian is silent for a long time. So long it feels repressive. Finally, he clears his throat.
By order of the Pope, our ruling is overturned, and Cardinal Thane is to be released without further prosecution or penalty.
What? Ragathon rages at his brother.
You can't let him go! He killed your son!
Varian glares at his brother.
I don't have a choice. This goes far beyond any of our stations. He's a cardinal, and under the authority of the Pope.
Thane smiles and stands, adjusting his coat.
I wish I could say it's been a pleasure, but that would be disingenuous. I will instead wish you all a miserable day and take my leave.
We all sit in stunned silence as Thane walks out of the room. I click on Evie and tell her to alert Zoran. I'm going to need his help. Corinne was wrong after all. This justice system is too corrupt to be effective. Sometimes justice has to come from the shadows. I leave quickly, ignoring a call from my grandfather, Corinne, and Whit. I have to catch up to Thane before he gets away, before I lose him forever. The rain is once again pouring down when I step outside the castle walls. It's a dark day, with heavy clouds obscuring the sun. I pull my cloak around my head and run into it, searching for Thane. I see him turn a corner and I follow, catching up to him several minutes later as he walks into the forest outside the castle. He turns when I get closer, his lips pulled up in a derisive sneer.
What are you doing out here, girl?
How did you get away with this? I ask, stepping closer to him.
Get away with what?
He says with a laugh.
Didn't you hear? I'm innocent.
You're not innocent, and we both know it. I put a hand on his arm and enter his mind. Memories flood me. I have to be sure. Before I do what I'm about to do, I have to be sure. Flashes of his life pass before me. I see him as a boy, playing with blocks in a mansion. Varian enters and informs him that his parents were traitors, and they were executed. Thane will live amongst the House of Ravens. He finds friends there, 2 brothers and a sister. But they grow older. Thane tests Zenith. His abilities are pathetic. He can summon a centimeter of flame above his fingers. Nothing more. He's a dud. Thane is told he is nothing compared to those he has grown to love. They are royalty, and he a son to traitors. Thane works harder. He achieves nothing. He begins to manipulate those around him for advantage. He creates the persona of Crixus and the Red Eagles. He accrues wealth and eliminates his competition under the guise of a rebel. As Thane, he becomes a knight of the 5th and a cardinal. As Crixus, he inspires people to follow him. He is no longer that weak boy. He knows better than everyone. They are children, and he must guide them. He will eliminate the Pope and secure his election. He enters the tournament as the Black Knight. He defeats all opponents. His plans go well, but he is still full of hate. Kai was once like a brother, but now he cares nothing for Thane. So Thane arranges for a vial of Kai's blood to be transported to an island and given to a dangerous creature. During the trial, Kai will die, and finally he will have revenge. Kai lives, but not for long. The memories fade, and I look into Thane's eyes. He doesn't know I've just seen into his soul. He shrugs my hand off of him. He wipes the rain from his face.
Those in power need Crixus. He can do what they can't. I was never going to be prosecuted. I'm safe. Untouchable.
You're not safe from me, I say, and I spread my wings as my eyes glow silver.
You?
I nod. Me.
You can't take me alone, even with your wings.
He holds up his hands as fire forms around them. Who said I'm alone? Zoran drops down behind Thane and strikes him in the head. The cardinal drops to the ground, and I stare down at him. You will be prosecuted for your crimes, I tell him.
and you will be found guilty.
Chapter 27. Justice. Is everything set? I ask Evie. It is, she says in my ear. Your feed will stream live across the world, interrupting all major broadcasts. I have made sure it is auto-translated into local languages. Good. I check myself in the mirror to make sure I haven't missed any pieces of Scarlet. But I'm all Nightfall. My silver wings glow around me, and my eyes glow in the same silver hue. Beneath my chest armor I wear the necklace Kai gave me for Christmas, and my father's token of strife. I can't avenge my parents yet, but at least I can bring justice to Kai's killer. Corinne, Raven, walks up to me in her mask and golden eyes. Are you ready? She asks. I nod. How do you feel about all of this? She looks over to the room where Thane is being held. You were right. The system failed. We need a new system, and I think Nightfall is the way to get it. She looks at me, her golden eyes unyielding. You have to be strong, unwavering. You have to show the people you are the leader they need. I hug her. Thank you. I step up to the podium on Diamond Mountain. The rebel groups have gathered below. A camera faces me. It represents the face of every man, woman, and child who is watching this live feed. I have to speak in such a way as to touch the hearts and minds of everyone listening to me tonight. If I don't, I will have failed all those whose lives were lost at the tournament. Thane is brought out gagged and handcuffed and placed on his knees next to me. Earlier today, the Council of Four Orders sentenced Cardinal Thane to death for the murder of Prince Kai of the House of Ravens and for inciting rebellion and terrorist acts at the arena and against the people of this nation as leader of the Red Eagles. But that judgment was overruled by the Pope. I let my words sink in a moment. We live in a corrupt society. And it is my mission, and the mission of those who work with me, to fight that corruption, to bring peace and equality to everyone, to create an egalitarian society where everyone's voice is heard, and everyone's needs are met, and everyone's rights are respected. The Pope and the current world government would crumble under this system. They would lose their power, and so they fight it. It is in their best interest to keep us divided, to keep us afraid, to keep us as enemies. But I am not your enemy. I point to Thane. He is your enemy. The Pope is your enemy. I am one woman trying to fight for the justice I know you all deserve. I am not a terrorist. I am not a tyrant. And I will not allow terrorists to kill innocents in the name of my cause or any cause. I hold up Crixus' helmet. This man tried to use me and my people toward his end, for his own political and financial gain, and he killed many in that pursuit. I commit to you now, today, that anyone who puts at risk the innocent, whether Zenith, human, or Nephilim, will answer to me. Terrorism is not the way to peace. Tyranny is not the way to peace. We must find a new way. Together. I pull the gag out of Thane's mouth, but he doesn't have a microphone on him, so no one hears as he hisses at me.
What are you going to do? Keep me locked away forever? Keep me prisoner?
I don't answer as I draw my mother's dagger.
You won't kill me, Nightfall. You don't have the guts.
I ignore his words. You will never be loved.
And you...
I pull the sharp blade across his throat. And he slumps over, the life bleeding out of him. I take a deep breath and address the audience. You can join me, or you can continue on your own. But if you do it at the cost of innocent lives, this will be your fate. I toss Crixus' helmet to the floor and turn away. As I do, a chant rises through the mountain.
Nox aeterna! Nox aeterna!
It gets louder as I leave the podium. I smile sadly. They can't believe in themselves, but they can believe in me. They can believe in Nightfall. I walk up the center of the mountain as TR catches up to me. I clasp his hand in mine. You did good today, I say. I was worried the chanting wouldn't work, even with you starting it up. He squeezes my hand.
That's just it. I never had a chance to start it. They did it on their own.
Evie beeps on.
Scarlet, the chanting has spread worldwide.
TR and I walk to the edge of the mountain, where Trix, Zoran, and Raven wait for us. Show us now, I tell Evie. She projects multiple videos from all over the globe, each one displaying hundreds, thousands of people chanting Nox Aeterna and making the sign for the Nephilim in sand, on windows, anywhere they can. Zoran puts his hand on my shoulder.
You've done what only the most successful leaders in world history have accomplished.
What's that? I ask.
United the masses to your vision. You've become their god, he says.
I shudder. I don't want to be anyone's god.
You shouldn't,
he agrees.
Humanity has a history of killing their gods.
Chapter 28. Tyranny and Terror. It doesn't take long for my words to inspire action. We're in the war room talking about our next step when Evie interrupts us.
Scarlet, I have messages coming in from many different rebel group leaders, all wanting to talk with Nightfall and join your cause.
I look over at Zoran. It's working. They're making contact. Trix, can you start messaging the various leaders? Sure can, she says, smiling.
How will we organize them?
Zoran asks.
Are you planning on folding them into the Dark Templars, or will you allow them to keep their own groups?
I think about it for a moment. I think a little of both. We make it clear that if they want in, they have to commit to being part of the Dark Templars. But they can keep their names and missions, as long as those missions are in no way in conflict with ours. And they can act as branches of the Dark Templars. Tell them each group will need to send a leader here as a representative. They will be given a room and office and will be required to work with our team on any and all missions. No more vigilantes working alone. It all has to go through us now. I'm on it, Trix says. She and TR leave, and I notice them hold hands as they exit. It makes me smile. Zoran follows my eyes.
Is that your doing?
He asks when they are gone. I shrug. I just reminded them of what we're fighting for.
And what is that?
He asks. Happiness.
Happiness? I thought we were fighting for justice, for equality.
I nod. But why? In the end, isn't it all so we can be happy? His hand falls on mine.
Scarlet.
His eyes are intense. He stares into me. And then he removes his hand from mine and stands.
I'll see about quarters for the rebel leaders. Likely need more people here.
I laugh at him, the spell between us broken. You are such a hermit. He smiles at me.
No, I just prefer more intimate gatherings.
I smile back at him. You'll get used to it. Corinne had to get back to her family after the execution, so she's not here. I'm left alone with Carter, who hands me a life force and joins me at the table. I thank him and sip on it as I think about what to do next.
How do you feel, having killed a person for the first time?
He asks. This isn't the first time someone has died because of me.
Perhaps not. But it's the first time you've killed someone by your own hand, is it not?
I look down at my hands, one old and familiar, one new and still strange. It's the new one that held the knife and sliced Thane's throat. It's true.
Do you have regrets?
I shake my head. He was sentenced to death. He deserved his judgment. He would have kept hurting others.
So it wasn't just revenge?
He asks. No. It was justice. It was to punish and protect.
I once had to kill someone to protect another,
he says, his eyes lost and far away.
Someone dangerous, who sought a path that could have hurt many. It is not an easy thing to live with, even now.
I suppose it should never be an easy thing to live with, taking the life of another, no matter how much they deserve it. He sighs and stands, picking up his silver serving tray.
I suppose it shouldn't.
It seems like entering another world when I return to Castle V and pretend to be just another initiate, after everything that's happened, after everything I've done. But I put on my scarlet mask, as I wonder more and more often who the real me is now. Is it Scarlet Knight? The girl who lost her parents so many months ago? Or is it Nightfall? The Nephilim with a cause? How can I be both? How can I be either? I'm losing myself to my roles, and it scares me. But as I sit with Corinne, Wit, Yaden, and Lana in our common hall, I feel for a moment like this could be real. Like whoever I am, whatever I'm doing, if I can just stay present long enough, it will be real. Or real enough for now. And maybe that's all we get in this life. The moment-to-moment sense of real. The now. So I enjoy the now with my closest friends, even if the scarlet mask isn't all of me. It's still me, and I can still be her. Are we still going to the party? Lana asks. The mood in our little group has definitely changed since Kai died. Corinne nods. We should. He wouldn't want us to mope around depressed forever. He'd want us to live our lives. To enjoy our lives. She looks at me. What do you think, Scarlet? You're right. I don't like to think about it. To imagine being there without him. But you're right. We should go. Yaden scoots closer to me and throws an arm over my shoulder.
If you need a dance partner, I'll keep my card free for you.
I smile. Thanks. I'll take you up on that if I end up dancing. Have you seen much of Jax since everything? Lana asks. No, he's been busy with order business.
What's everyone's thoughts on Nightfall's execution of Thane?
Wit asks.
I have to admit, I'm shocked, but not displeased.
He killed Kai, Lana says. Right? Corinne and I nod. No doubts. Then he deserved it, she says fiercely as she strokes the bracelet Kai gave her. And I know this is a controversial thing to say, but I don't think Nightfall's the enemy. She's doing what we can't. Wit, Lana, and Yaden start debating the pros and cons of Nightfall, and Corinne moves to sit next to me. She leans in and whispers, You okay? I shrug. Mostly. She holds my hand. There's a cost to being a great leader. I nod. I just hope it isn't more than I can pay. Chapter 29. Checkmate. I donned the gold and black dress I had made to wear with Kai, accented with black feathers he acquired for me, and I attend the New Year's ball. He would have loved you in that, Corinne says as I walk over to her and Whit sitting at our table. Thank you. This ball is more subdued than the Halloween ball. Many here are still nursing injuries, and Kai wasn't the only casualty that day. We are all still in mourning, still pulling ourselves out of that fog of grief that makes the rest of the world disappear. I see Jax enter the ballroom and our eyes lock. He's debonair in his Teutonic Knight formal wear. We haven't talked much since the night of the tournament, but my heart misses him. I stand and walk over to him as others come and go, shaking his hand and congratulating him on his promotion. So, a knight of the third, I say as I approach. His eyes are sad.
I'm sorry. About everything.
I shrug. We are who we are, Jax. I still
love you.
He finishes.
I love you, Star. Always will.
My eyes burn, and I blink away the feelings. Me too.
I haven't known what to say to you, how to console you. I was jealous of you and Kai. But now...
There's nothing left to be jealous of. But neither of us can say that. I never stopped loving you, I tell him. What I felt, for Kai, it didn't change what you mean to me. He reaches for my hand and pulls me closer to him.
Will you dance with me?
I nod and let him lead me to the dance floor. His arm slips around my waist and our bodies press together. I can feel his breath on my neck and smell the faint mint of his shampoo. Whoever we are, whoever we become, he's still my Jax. I hold him tighter, and we don't talk. Just move and feel and let the music sink into our bruised and broken hearts. He's still my Jax. He leaves me with a small smile and a bow.
I can't stay, but I'll see you soon, Star.
See you soon. I rejoin Corinne, and she and I walk toward the balcony door. It's a crisp winter night, the sky full of bright stars. A fresh coat of snow blankets the world around us. Nature's way of covering the blood, hiding the flaws of humanity until the seasons change and we are stronger. You still love Jax, Corinne says, as a statement, not a question. I nod. And Kai? I turn to her. I will always love him. The night of the Halloween ball, I chose Kai. Corinne nods, satisfied with that answer. Satisfied, I suspect, that while Kai was here, I chose him. I loved him. I didn't break his heart. I just killed him. I don't know how to live this life, Corinne says. She's staring out into the night, and I follow her gaze. Nightfall and my father are enemies. Nightfall and my uncle are enemies. One of them will die, won't they? Nightfall or them? I don't know, I say honestly. I don't want anyone else to die. She turns to look at me. But someone always dies in war. And this is a war, isn't it? It's a war that no one knows is happening. But it's real.
Yes, I say. It's real.
And you turned me into an enemy of my own family. Yes, I admit. I did. She reaches for my hands and holds them. But you did it to save me. To save my life. I nod, a tear running down my cheek. Yes. And I hesitate at this part, but I think she needs to know. I think Kai would want her to know. Kai knew. He knew who I was, and he still loved me. Her eyes widen. When? The trial. I had to reveal myself to save him. Now she's fighting tears. He still loved you? Yes, which means he would still love me. I nod. Always. She nods, grabbing my hands in hers. Okay then, we'll figure it out. Together, we'll figure it out. We really are family now. Kai was right. The door behind us slides open and Varian steps out.
Ladies, it's a cold night to be standing out here so long.
Corinne turns to her father. We were just getting some air.
Of course, he says. I was just wondering, Scarlet, would you care to join me for a game of chess? I believe I owe you one.
I sense something bigger is happening, but I don't know what. So I nod. Of course. And I follow him in. We sit in Varian's office. Black curtains with gold ravens drape the stone walls, and a fireplace burns near the ornately carved desk. The chessboard is glass, and the pieces are variations of dragons. Varian plays white and makes the first move.
Thank you, he says, for revealing my son's killer.
We play quickly, our moves almost instant. After the first few turns, it's clear Varian is the greatest player I've ever faced. I did what was right, I say.
And you did it with honor.
Varian positions his rook.
One day, you shall be a great knight, Scarlet. What order do you desire?
Templar. He smiles.
Like your parents. Have you considered who to study under?
I take one of his pawns. What do you mean? He takes my bishop.
You shall need a Templar knight to accept you as his page.
And you seek an apprentice? He chuckles.
Finish your trials, and we will talk more.
Not necessary. I will decline. He doesn't seem surprised.
Do you fear me, Scarlet?
I hesitate for the first time in the game. There is nothing to fear but fear itself. He laughs.
You've been spending too much time with wit.
Your children have all had an effect on me. They showed me not all those with privilege are my enemy.
And you changed them as well.
For a moment, his purple eyes are not cold, but sad.
You made my son happy before the end. Thank you for that.
He was an amazing person. He nods.
And so are you. He saw that in you. Now, I do as well.
My eyes are tearing. I don't want to talk about Kai anymore. How are things going with Nightfall? Any suspects? The castle is abuzz with speculation. He's more open today than I've ever seen him. I hope he let some information slip.
I have a few. Actually, I'm narrowing down the list.
I chuckle. Anyone I know? Varian moves his queen.
Tell me, what happens next?
That sounds familiar. I study the board. It takes me a moment to see it, but I lose. He nods. 3 turns pass.
Checkmate,
he says, his eyes meeting mine.
Once again, you disappoint me. Nightfall.
My breath hitches in my throat. I freeze, but I need to move. I need to make him forget. No. I need to eliminate him. Zoran was right. Varian is too dangerous. I raise my hand. Why isn't he attacking me?
Before you do anything, says Varian, you should know I have taken precautions. If I die, or behave in a way I would not, you, and those at your cathedral, will be taken into custody, and you will be executed.
I drop my hand, my heart pounding in my chest. How did you know?
I suspected for a while. You and Nightfall shared the same skills, the same ideology. Of course, that was not enough proof. But then you accused Thane, and Nightfall executed him. But I needed one more thing. I needed this game.
I stare at the chessboard, trembling.
You and Nightfall both calculate your actions based off what is most effective. You will take the path with least casualties, but also the path that is swiftest. These paths are not obvious for most, but they are always there, and so they can be manipulated. Every turn, I led you down the path you deemed most effective, and when you reached your destination, I was prepared.
I don't know why he's talking to me, or why this matters, but I can't resist asking. Then how do I win? He leans closer.
You must be deceptive at every turn. When you are able to attack, you must seem unable. When you are close to victory, you must appear close to defeat.
I nod, finally understanding. When I went into the sewers with Trix, I did so because it was the safest path. But it was also the most obvious. When I first met Varian, I thought I was meeting a rebel leader. I thought I was so close to taking control and winning. But instead, I'd led myself to a superior opponent. I bow my head, defeated. So, what happens after you take me into custody?
I'm not taking you into custody.
What? But what about your orders? He grins, a spark in his eyes.
I want Nightfall, he says. But there is something I want more.
Epilogue. Only the memories of the dead and those mourning them are present at St. Gabriel's Cemetery the night the Princess of Raven stands before a monument. She brushes off the dirt and cut grass that cover Charlie's name, and lays a bouquet of rainbow roses down. They were the girl's favorite. Corinne doesn't have a grave to bring flowers to for her brother, Kai. She regrets that the most. There will be no quiet place to mourn him and connect to his spirit. There has been too much loss, too much death, too much that cannot be undone. But who is to blame? Nightfall upsets the status quo, but creates choices where none exist. The orders discriminate and abuse, but keep order and peace. We all have different sides, she thinks. Is one more real than the other? Scarlet becomes the persona of Nightfall, just as she becomes the persona of royalty when she has to. Like her, Scarlet has different speech patterns and language, a different bearing when she turns into Nightfall. Lately, they've spent a lot of time together so Corinne can train and learn about her new skills. No matter her methods, Scarlet's heart is in the right place. Queens, rebel leaders, we're all the same at the core, she thinks. She hears footsteps behind her. He's here. She turns to the man in long robes.
Who is that?
The man asks as he twirls his white beard, pointing at the grave. A friend, the princess says, running a finger over the tombstone one last time before she stands to face him, a single rose still in her hand.
You've lost much in the last few days, he says. Are you still prepared?
Corinne raises an eyebrow. Is this why you wanted to meet? to see if I'm committed. He clutches his walking stick as it sinks into the moist soil.
Grief changes people. Has it changed you?
A wind blows through the cemetery, and the princess shivers and twirls the rose in her hand, letting the breeze catch its scent. No, we go ahead with the plan. The old man cocks his head, his pale blue eyes prying into her soul.
Are you sure you will be able to?
I'm sure. The princess looks down at the rose she holds, and crushes it in her fist. I will eliminate my father. I will become queen. She matches the old man's eyes. And I will help Scarlet destroy the orders. The old man smiles.
My granddaughter chose right when she saved you.
Corinne looks away.
Do you think me a monster for thinking so?
He asks. The princess pauses. She shakes her head.
We are all monsters,
she says softly. And she unleashes her cobalt blue wings and flies. It's not the scene he would have chosen. His wife deserves better than what he's been able to give. He knows that, and he's grateful for her patience, for her love, for her commitment to their small family. He kisses her goodbye as their daughter runs up to him, her blonde pigtails slapping against her small, perfect face. If his feelings for his wife are clouded by the pain of the woman he loved and lost, at least his love for his daughter is untainted, pure. She's the best part of him, and he knows it. He leans down to hug her.
Daddy, look, she says. I found a fairy flower. Look how the colors change.
She twirls the flower in her small fingers, and the colors shift from blue to purple to pink to yellow.
It's beautiful, he says, just like you.
She giggles and runs off, and he turns to leave. His e-glass blinks, reminding him of his appointment, as if he'd forget. He clicks it off and drives to the cafe where his brother agreed to talk. Varian is sitting at a table sipping a coffee when he arrives. There should be evidence of grief on the face of a man who just lost his son. Varian shows none. Ragathon sits across from him, and Varian smiles.
It's good to see you, Ragathon. What do you wish to discuss? You know what I came here to talk about. How can you act like Kai's death means nothing? You treated him like garbage his whole life, making him feel worthless, and now that he's dead you act like he never existed. What kind of heartless monster are you?
The false pleasantry drops from Varian's face, replaced by sorrow.
You're right. I should have treated him better. I tried. I gave him my name, my status, every privilege of a prince. But
he was your son. Of course you did. That didn't make you a good father,
Ragathon says, his heart still torn apart by Kai's death.
You are so blinded by your own hate. You never even saw it, did you?
Ragathon's heart runs cold at the sneer on Varian's face.
What didn't I see?
He asks, his hands shaking.
He was never my son,
Varian says.
He was yours. Kai was your son, and you left him and her before she could even tell you. You stormed away like a petulant child who had lost a toy when she chose me, and I was left to take care of the messes you made. I did the best I could with the bastard son of my coward brother.
Varian slams his coffee down and stands, adjusting his suit.
She loved you once, he says, but when you left without a word, that love died long before she did.
Varian leaves Ragathon sitting stunned at the table. Memories of Kai flash through his mind. and piece by piece it breaks him down. He had a son. His son is dead. A sob racks his chest, and he leans his head down and grieves for all that was lost and is now forever gone. The cathedral is dark and silent. Zoran sits in his room, rewatching a memory. He sees the crystal coffin shatter, and a frail version of himself falls out. He notices a pale, blonde-haired girl, bleeding out on the ground. She looks familiar. There are soldiers there, dressed in gold. They do not move. Zoran, ravaged with hunger, crawls to the girl and bites her neck. He drains her of blood, and when someone enters, he pulls away, face covered in red. It is the angel. His wings shimmer gold and purple.
"Hello, old friend,"
he says. Zoran's eyes are hazy.
"Where am I?" "You were imprisoned. The Nephilim have been destroyed. You are the last."
Zoran shakes his head. There is silence, and then he weeps.
"I'm sorry." "What of Marcus and Violet?"
asks Zoran.
"They are dead." "No. They had to be killed. They were the ones who kept you prisoner."
Zoran turns to the bleeding body.
"And the girl?" "Their daughter."
Zoran nods. He tears open his wrist and pours blood down the girl's throat. The angel steps forward.
"No, you cannot save her. She is too dangerous." "She is innocent."
The angel raises his golden sword.
"I cannot allow her to live."
"You will not touch her!"
roars Zoran. The angel walks forward. His soldiers target Zoran with their guns.
"I'm sorry, old friend, but the seals can never be unlocked."
Zoran stands, stepping in front of the girl. He is weak from many years of slumber, but he is strong enough for this.
"You challenge the Lord of Night?"
The sky darkens, and black tendrils spread from Zoran. An unnatural wind rushes around him. A sword, black as night, materializes in his hand.
"You challenge death!"
He charges. The angel attempts to defend. He is not fast enough. Each of his soldiers collapses, their necks sliced open. When the angel lunges to strike, Zoran slams into him, pushing them both out of the truck and into the sky. They struggle as they fly further and further, a spiral of gold and black. The angel pushes Zoran away and turns back for the girl. Zoran dives after him. He catches him and stabs the angel through the shoulder. They fall. The memory fades.
"Why do you watch this?"
asks Carter, standing in Zoran's doorway. Zoran turns to him.
"They should not have died. The girl has far too much sway over you. She leads when it should be you." "I cannot,"
says Zoran. Carter sighs.
"You will tell her of the seals."
He nods.
"We agreed they must never be opened,"
says Carter.
"And we lost. I will not lose again."
Wind rushes through the bedroom.
"Zoran, I beg you."
"You continue to challenge me!"
Zoran roars and stands to face Carter.
"I ordered you to stay away from her, and yet you returned here. Do not make me choose between you and the girl."
"My old friend."
Zoran charges Carter, slamming him into the wall, and Carter unleashes his wings. They shimmer gold and purple. He pushes Zoran back.
"I have searched a millennium for one to lead us,"
he says.
You are that leader, Zoran. You know what must be done.
Zoran steps back, anger leaving his face. And Carter smiles kindly.
You love her, don't you?
Zoran says nothing.
This has happened before, with another. Do not make the same mistake twice.
I will not,
says Zoran, his eyes dark.
Scarlet shall become one of the four, and the one who betrayed us will die.
This concludes House of Ravens by Karpov Kinraid, narrated by Emily Wu Zeller. Copyright 2015 by Karpov Kinraid. This unabridged audiobook is published by arrangement with Daring Books, LLC, and was produced in the year 2016 by Tantor Media Incorporated, a division of Recorded Books, which holds the copyright thereto. Please visit Tantor.com for more information on our growing library of unabridged audiobooks, and to take